Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to call back the order of Pasco County Board of County Commissioners meeting of October 23rd, 2018. I would like to remind everyone present to please silence their electronic devices. It's time now for resolutions. Madam Clerk, will you please read the first resolution?
So, Mr. Chairman, we have, I need a motion. I guess I'll make a motion to hear the emergencies. We have 4 emergency resolutions.
Okay.
Move to, was that, oh, second.
There's 4. There's 4, yeah.
I'm sorry, I was just
Okay.
laughing at the 4.
I have a motion to approve 4 walk-on resolutions with a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Madam Clerk?
Okay, we'll proceed with the first one, a resolution for Alice Delgado. If you could come forward.
Get up there, lady.
Surprise.
Give her a round of applause.
Now, let's just be grateful.
Grateful. Thank you, Commissioner.
Well, Mr. Chairman, real quick, and
Okay.
unfortunately, Chairman Wells has fallen ill, and he really wanted to be here. So he feels bad, so he offers his thanks to you. But he did want to be here today. He really did, but he's not doing too hot right now. So
Sorry
it's
to
better
hear
that he
that.
is at home.
We wanted to stay
But
home.
he sponsored this resolution for you, just so you know.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Resolution number 1919, whereas Alice Delgado is a woman who wears many hats, and under most of those hats, she is busy selflessly helping members of the community. And whereas she helps local families as a guardian ad litem, as a board member for Healthy Families of Pasco County, and a board member of the Coalition for the Homeless. She has been very involved as a volunteer with Community Service Council, a former member of Holiday Rotary Club, and she MCs for several nonprofit organizations' events. And whereas Alice is and always has been a strong leader for local women as a former president of Business and Professional Women of Colusa, and as a member of the Pasco County Commission on the Status of Women. And whereas Alice has a master's in education, she is a graduate of Leadership Pasco and is a former nurse. Her entire career has been about helping others. And whereas most recently Alice has been giving back to our local community in her role as President CEO of the United Way of Pasco County. Whereas the United Way of Pasco County's vision is to advance the common good of all residents of Pasco County. The United Way of Pasco County achieves this by creating opportunities for people to have a better life, by addressing the underlying causes of present challenges that will ultimately bring about long-lasting changes. And whereas Alice Delgado began achieving this vision with the United Way of Pasco County as the Vice President of Community Impact on October 23rd, 2016. Due to her hard work and dedication to the residents of Pasco County, Alice was named President CEO of United Way of Pasco County within a month of November 14th, 2016, a role in which she impacted the lives of those she served. And whereas under her leadership, United Way has established itself as a well-known nonprofit and community leader by experiencing growth and fundraising, established a defined community impact plan, building strategic partnerships, and focusing on providing grants to organizations which demonstrate measurable impact. And whereas United Way Board of Directors and staff are saddened by Alice's departure, yet they are thankful for her leadership and take pride in their work accomplished together. Once retired, Alice will be greatly missed by her coworkers, colleagues, and the community she has served. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, that said board hereby recognizes Alice Delgado for her years of dedicated service to the community and congratulates her on her retirement. Done and resolved in regular session with the quorum present and voting this 23rd day of October 2018, signed by the board.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pass. Thank you.
This is
Welcome.
extremely humbling.
It is.
And I'm blushing, and you can't tell.
Mr. Chairman, can I,
Yes.
if I say something?
Commissioner Moore.
So I've known Alice for quite some time now, and we also sat on the Homeless Advisory Board together, or council, I should say, together. And just whenever you walk in a room, you just bring a smile to people's faces because of all the good you do. And you can see that from all the people that are here for you today. A lot of people sitting, there's even people standing back there, but we are,
That's not right.
There. So they were all, yes, they were all hidden out in our offices today, so.
Oh, my gosh.
But you will be obviously dearly missed by not only this commission and this staff, but by the community too. But we know there's great things ahead for you, and you'll continue to do great things. So with that, we thank you. So
I am only as great as the people I'm surrounded by, the people I get to partner and work with. So thank you.
You can be gone for a little while, but we want you back. So.
I'll be back. So let me ask a question. Does that mean there's going to be an increase in funding for United Way?
I think we're going to have to discuss that.
That budget cycle's done for the year, but.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, what did you say?
I think we'll have to discuss it, but we'll work that way.
I'll be happy to step out of retirement for that. But thank you very much.
Commissioner Mariano?
Thank you. Alice, it's been a pleasure to serve with you in the community. You've always been a great leader, great compassion with whatever endeavor you've been looking at or whatever cause you were going for. So
Thank
we
you,
were greatly missed, but I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
Well, I think this is just temporary, that we're going to be seeing you step aside for a little bit. And as I've gotten to know you better, and it seems like you just became the head of United Way. How long has it been?
It's only been 2 years.
2 years. You've done so much in that time, and it's just been a pleasure working with you, and I look forward to continuing to work with you. So
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Thank you.
I thought it was fantastic here about a couple of weeks ago. I got to give a young lady a car with you.
Yeah.
And be
Was
present
awesome.
while they did. That's terrific
That
thing
was awesome.
for that young lady, to help her a lot and get to work.
Yes.
That was a great thing
About
about
giving
United
people a
Way.
hand up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Thank you.
I just want to emphasize that Commissioner Wells is really, or Chairman Wells is really disappointed he couldn't be here. He has enjoyed serving with you on United Way Board and all of the wonderful things you've done. So I know he probably talked to all of us to say, please make sure Alice knows how much she's appreciated and that he'll see you before you actually retire,
Thank you. I hope he feels better
if
soon.
he's well.
Thank you. And thank you,
Commissioners, you want
Commissioner.
to join me down?
Commissioner Oakley, and I apologize,
Okay.
jumping in again. Her team come up too? And maybe we can greet Alice, and then we can come back up, because there's a big team up.
Yeah.
up for reception.
Thank you.
So you
Yeah,
guys.
team come back for a picture.
Yeah, and her family's here too, so.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh.
I think we may end up behind.
Come on, you guys.
My hug. After Jeff. After Jeff.
You need to stay close up here, towards the front. Yeah, because we need to get.
It's better up here.
And we don't want this to take it. Unless Alice wants to get up, sit up on this thing.
We can hoist her. There's not enough people here to get her down.
Can you come up here too?
All right.
Here, wait, let the, we need to. There you go.
Get the kids
Get
in
them close.
front.
There we go. Here, squeeze it.
Come on in there. There you go. That's great. Come around.
Okay, take one step
Around
forward.
the podium.
Well, he needs to be up here next to you. He needs to be up here.
All right, 2 steps.
Two more little steps.
All right, and I'll just go right
There.
there.
Hold that post on.
I'm getting a new phone, so it'll come back. It'll come back.
I think with us up here, I thought. Oh, okay. Hey, Kelly, how are you?
Stop. Those are his children.
So you have,
Because we pulled out.
Oh, no, I guess we're not.
Four and five, but we're not there yet. Those two there.
Okay.
do your ones in the list and then welcome
Yeah.
them down. The rest of the kids after.
All right, Madam Clerk, the next resolution.
Is anyone here representing Dr. Musunuru and the Regional Medical Center of Bayonet Point? I saw Kurt.
Kurt, Dr.
Dr.
Musunuru is
Musunuru,
here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he's here.
Well, we could have the board meeting here.
That's good.
Okay, great. Resolution number 1924. Whereas in the United States, every 40 seconds, an unexpected victim suffers from a stroke, while every 4 minutes, someone dies from one. And whereas raising the community medical standards for treatment of acute stroke to optimal levels significantly decreases morbidity and mortality. And whereas the major efforts of Dr. Rao Musunuru, while serving as president of the American Heart Association Florida affiliate, were instrumental in passing the Florida Stroke Act by the Florida legislature with the help of Pasco legislators in 2004. And whereas the Florida Stroke Act created the nation's first statewide emergency stroke system, establishing primary stroke centers, and it requires emergency medical systems providers to transport suspected stroke patients to the nearest hospital with a certified stroke center rather than just to the nearest hospital. And whereas Dr. Rao Musunuru not only was instrumental in establishing the nationally accredited Heart Institute at Regional Medical Center, Bayonet Point, but also encouraged establishing the first and only comprehensive stroke center in Pasco County, licensed by the Agency for Healthcare Administration. And whereas the state-of-the-art comprehensive stroke center, part of the newly expanded neuroscience center at Regional Medical Center Bayonet Point, provides patients with all-day and all-night availability of immediate access to the full spectrum of the latest technologies in the detection, treatment, and rehabilitation of strokes, including life-saving acute neurointerventions. And whereas every passing moment after the onset of stroke destroys part of the brain, and the emergency interventional treatment of acute strokes decreases not only death, but also disastrous long-term disability, benefiting not only individuals, but also the community at large. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, that said board hereby wishes to extend its gratitude and recognition to Dr. Rao Musunuru and the Regional Medical Center Bayonet Point for their continued efforts in serving the community, providing nationally recognized state-of-the-art medical care, and improving the quality of life within our community. Done and resolved in regular session with the quorum present and voting this 23rd day of October 2018, signed by the board.
Move approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
You know, it seemed it was just a couple months ago, we were at the groundbreaking for the Neuroscience Center, and what a great day that was. And to go back to the legislation crafted many years ago that you were so instrumental in, I just thought worthy of doing this resolution. Dr. Musonero, for years, you've been here. What made you select Pasco County is a great story itself. We're just so delighted that you're here. You've made Pasco a much better place, saving lives, and even the lives that are saved just by the timing of this type of thing, improving those lives that you did save as well, is just a testament to humanity itself. So, again, we're grateful to you, your whole team, for the great work you've done for this county. You've made it a much better place.
I haven't heard that story. Oh, I think my mic is off.
Would you like to say a few words?
Doctor, would you like to speak? Oh,
Just
turn it
want to
over
say
the young
thank
lady.
you on behalf of Bayonet Point. Thank you so much for recognizing. It's certainly an honor and a privilege to work with Dr. Musonero. He has done so much for the community, and not just for the community, but for Florida as a whole, as a state. So, as you say, saving lives, and it's just a privilege to work beside him.
Dr. Musonero, come on.
You must.
No, thank you all very much.
Oh, stop, Mama.
Let's all go down.
I want to hear that story someday. I haven't heard of these shows here. Hey. There's these other ones behind it.
You're right behind. I get the honor. All right. Yeah. Look in between us. They're together. Madam Clerk, next resolution.
Thank you. The next resolution we have is by title only, I believe, is Pamela Paoni here. Okay, resolution number 1917, a resolution by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, recognizing Pamela Paoni for her outstanding achievements and 20 years of dedicated service to the Pasco County schools and citizens, done and resolved in regular session with the quorum present and voting this 23rd day of October 2018, signed by the board.
Move for approval.
Second.
And a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pass.
We have a resolution recognizing National Adoption Awareness Month. Is anyone here? Okay, great. Come forward, please. It's always a joyous day in the courthouse when it's National Adoption Day, definitely. Resolution number 1923, whereas many children throughout the country are living in substitute care and need loving, nurturing, and permanent adoptive families to help them achieve their full potential. Whereas adoption profoundly enriches the lives of children, their adoptive parents, families, and their communities. And whereas the average wait time for a child in foster care to be adopted is nearly 3 years. And whereas more than 23,000 children age out of the foster care system every year with no adoptive family or permanent home. And whereas National Adoption Day, observed on November 17, 2018, provides an opportunity for a collective national effort to raise awareness of the more than 117,000 children in foster care waiting to find permanent, loving families. And whereas approximately 223 children in Pasco County are currently waiting to be matched with adoptive families, both the families wanting to adopt these children and the many families who have already adopted children deserve and require agency and community support in the days and years ahead. And whereas on Friday, November 2nd, 2018, in celebration of National Adoption Month and Day, Pasco County United Family Court at the West Pasco Judicial Center will open its doors to finalize adoptions of local children and join organizations to celebrate all adoptions. And whereas this annual one-day event has helped thousands of children realize the dream of adoption by encouraging policymakers, practitioners, and advocates to finalize adoptions and celebrate adoptive families. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, that said board hereby declares the month of November as National Adoption Month and recognizes the local community agencies for their involvement with the Pasco adoption events throughout the years and for promoting adoption as a positive way to grow families and raise public awareness of foster children waiting adoptions, and in so doing urges all citizens to join in a national effort to raise awareness about the importance of adoption. Done and resolved in regular session with the quorum present and voting this 23rd day of October 2018, signed by the board.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion passed.
And I think this is under me, right?
You have it right in front
And
of you.
I don't have it.
You do.
This is National Philanthropy Day, and this is Native Plant Society.
Okay.
So I don't have it.
We'll have it.
And Michelle's not here today, so. But I'd love for you to say some words to the board while we, oh, was it under me or you?
I'm sorry. No, it is. I'm sorry. It was a walk-on. I had it.
Yes, it was an emergency walk. Okay, why don't you talk to the board a little bit, and then we'll all come down and celebrate.
So National Adoption Day is always a very exciting month for us, the month of November. It just gives us an opportunity to celebrate with all of our wonderful children and families we work with. We are actually scheduled to finalize 20 children on National Adoption Day this year, and so far since July 1st, we've finalized 50 children adopting here in Pasco County.
That's wonderful.
That is wonderful.
That's wonderful. All right, board, let's all go down and celebrate.
Can we have your name and agency? And
My name is Pamela Mattice, and I work with Eckerd Connects.
excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
I always love seeing those pictures of the families getting married, so. There you go. Take a photo. How much fun is that? Silent is on? That is a lot, that's great.
A lot of work. That's a great thing.
My husband's grandfather was Stark. Okay. Mr. Stark. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
We're doing emergencies before the rain.
Next resolution is for National Home Care Month, recognizing HPH Home Health and Hospice. Is anyone here representing HPH? Oh, good. Come forward, please.
Someone wants to do it. Wants me to do it, I can talk about it.
Resolution number 1918, whereas home care services provide high-quality and compassionate health care services to more than 5 million Americans annually, especially in times of community or personal health care crisis. And whereas 90% of Americans want to age in place, and home care is the preferred method of health care delivery for disabled, elderly, and chronically ill individuals eager to live independently in their own homes as long as they possibly can. And whereas home care in the United States is a growing alternative to hospitalization or other institution-based forms of health care for acute and chronic illnesses, providing care to millions of Americans each year. And whereas 2 million everyday heroes, including home care nurses, therapists, and aides, traveled 7.6 billion miles in 2016 to deliver care and worked tirelessly to provide professional support to millions of Americans in need of quality home health care services. And whereas these dedicated home care professionals and volunteers form a support network that continues to play a vital role in healthcare delivery for our nation's disabled, infirm, and aging population. And whereas home care services through HPH Home Health and HPH Hospice allow families to stay together and provide for greater health, dignity, and comfort in our community. And whereas HPH Hospice, an affiliate of Chapters Health, has been providing home health and hospice services to residents of Pasco County, Florida since 1986. And whereas HPH Home Health and HPH Hospice, the National Association for Home Care and Hospice, and thousands of home care agencies across the United States have declared the month of November 2018 as National Home Care Month, and encourage the support and participation of all citizens in learning more about the home care and hospice concepts of care for the elderly, disabled, and infirm. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, that said board hereby declares November 2018 as National Home Care Month in Pasco County, Florida, and recognizes HPH Home Health and HPH Hospice for their contributions to our community through their home care services. Done and resolved in regular session with the quorum present and voting this 23rd day of October 2018, signed by the board.
Move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That passes.
Yeah, I got it. Well, good afternoon. How are you? So this was under Chairman Wells, but unfortunately he's ill today, so I'm going to take over. But it's kind of fitting that I do, because I was I like to say in the home care business for a long time, as you know, and had my own agency until probably about 2011 when I sold that company. So I know the benefit that you provide for the community and for the citizens, and especially on the hospice side. You're obviously making many people's, I hate to use the word last days, but some people are moving on, and you're comforting them and providing them that end of life care that is so very important, especially what you also do in the support mechanisms you provide for the family too. So in providing lots of jobs too for a lot of our nurses and caregivers, including CNAs and home health aides in the community. A lot of people don't realize the importance of home health care. And we talk about our hospitals and our ALFs and our SNFs on a regular basis, but you're giving a lot of these people the ability to stay in their homes and be in the comfort of their own home, right? A lot of people obviously prefer that over other means, and if they have the ability to do that, you're providing that for them. So we thank you for that. We know how important it is, and especially, again, I'll reiterate the hospice side. You have to be a very, very special person to work in hospice, and a very, very special person, and you are. So thank you for that. But if you'd like to say a few words, we welcome that.
Thank you, and I think on behalf of HPH Home Health and Hospice, we would like to just simply say we are absolutely humbled and honored to serve the community, and thank you for all the support over the number of years. Thank you.
Great. Thank
Can
you.
you identify your names, please, for the record?
I'm Jane Witkowski, the Director for HPH Home Health.
I'm Melissa Fay, the representative from HPH Home Health.
All right. Thank you all. We'll give you a round of applause. We'll come down and do a How are you? So what I'm gonna, ladies, I'm gonna jump in the middle of you. So you get right here. There we go. And then we'll all hold this together. And then everybody will gather. So put it over.
I'm not important.
You're good.
Yes, you
are. Oh, yeah, we're good.
I'm fine, right back. No, we're good.
Claire's getting in front now, that's good.
I heard you're supposed to hold it up high and shoot down. That's what all the college girls do. They're up like this.
Take care. Have a good one.
Okay, Madam Clerk, next resolution.
Thank you. The next resolution recognizes Community Planning Month. Is there anyone here representing Community Planning Month? Please come forward.
All of our planners.
Yep.
Well, don't be bashful. We appreciate all you do. They gotta start getting up now.
Resolution number 1921, whereas change is constant and affects all cities, towns, suburbs, counties, boroughs, townships, rural areas, and other places. And whereas community planning and plans can help manage this change in a way that provides better choices for how people work, live, and play. The goal of planning is to maximize the health, safety, and economic well-being for all residents. And whereas community planning provides an opportunity for all residents to be meaningfully involved in making choices that determine the future of their community. And whereas the full benefits of planning requires public officials and citizens who understand, support, and demand excellence in planning and plan implementation. And whereas the month of October is designated as National Community Planning Month throughout the United States of America and its territories. And whereas the American Planning Association and its professional institute, the American Institute of Certified Planners, endorse National Community Planning Month as an opportunity to highlight the contributions sound planning and plan implementation make to the quality of our communities and environment. And whereas the celebration of National Community Planning Month gives us the opportunity to publicly recognize the participation and dedication of the members of the Planning Commission and other citizen planners who have contributed their time and expertise to the improvement of Pasco County. And whereas we recognize the many valuable contributions made by professional, community, and regional planners of Pasco County, and extend our heartfelt thanks for the continued commitment to the public service by these professionals. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, that said board hereby recognizes the month of October as Community Planning Month in Pasco County, done and resolved in regular session with the quorum present and voting this 23rd day of October 2018, signed by the board.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
But I see some planners missing.
Hey, I want to tell the rest of the commission kind of how this came about, because this is Planning Month, October, and Denise and I were talking after our last meeting in Dade City. Was our planning commission was being a little bashful, I think, didn't want to be recognized. So, but we appreciate everything you do, and never feel bad about the work you're doing here in Pasco. You're doing some great work, and that target's moving every day. So you know how important good planning is, and we appreciate the work you do. So, anyone else?
I'd just like to say, I thank the team as well for doing a phenomenal job, whether it be from zonings or just long-term planning, the different things that we look at and go, really appreciate what you're doing.
Yes, go ahead.
And I want to remind you that you all have the education in planning, and we don't. So you need to educate us on when it comes time to vote, and we need to know why we need to vote this way or that way. I feel it's incumbent upon you to help teach us why and how to make some of these good decisions.
They're not easy decisions. They're tough, but good planning makes it better for us, I can
Yes.
tell you. So,
And our citizens. Yeah.
Mr. Moore, you want to say anything?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
I was
That's
trying to
okay.
chase down, Peter left.
And Mary Helen's not here.
And I was trying to grab him on the phone. Like, I saw him take off, so, but that's okay. But no, thank you all for everything you do. We, without you, obviously, things want to move along in this county, especially when it comes to all the great things when it comes to economic development in this county. So I know a lot of people in the audience also appreciate everything you do. So we look forward to more great things to come here in Pasco County, don't we?
And I think Terry's got some
Terry's
things to
got
say,
some
but
stuff
I
to
believe
say.
there's some important things that they need to tell us, so.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you to the Board of County Commissioners as well for this recognition. With me today, of course, is the Planning Department of Pasco County, as well as a number of our planning partners, members of OEG, the County Attorney's Office, even Development Services. Just want to highlight the PDD managers, Joaquin Servia, Ernie Monaco, Denise Hernandez, and John Villanova, who do a tremendous job with their teams. They've all got some really great teams and great people working with them. Also, we had Peter Hensel, who was representing the Planning Commission. In so recognizing, I would like to introduce Mr. Brad Tippin, who's a senior planner in current planning with PDD, to present a recent award that Pasco County received in September of 2018.
Thank you very much. As you're aware, we've recently brought to you a couple of other awards that we've won through Connected City specifically for best planning practice and coming up with some unique ideas and some ways to actually achieve some of the goals that haven't been tried before. We're lucky enough now that we have actually been recognized by the state APA as well. We've won the Award of Merit for Best Practices for the Connected City Comprehensive Planning Process and Land Development Code writing that we did. That goes to all of our private partners, all these past and present planners that have all been a part of this process, yourselves for clearing the road and letting us actually move forward in a very unique way, something that was very different from things we had done before. So we appreciate that, and we're going to keep doing those kinds of projects for you, and we'll Commissioner Starkey will certainly come and let you know what we think you guys should do. But this is just another award to show that the planners are doing great work.
Okay. Very good.
This is a big group. Should we stand behind her? Yes, he says yes. So why don't y'all come back and we'll stand behind.
Okay.
Our photographer wants us back here.
David, you're aware, you're also a planner.
I guess we're staying up here this time.
Congratulations on that award.
So many of you, right?
Hey.
I'll come down in a second. Just to serve you.
See, there's a bunch of tall people in this group. Even standing back here. I guess Oakley's going to stay down there, and the rest of us are up here. Hey, Ronnie.
They told us to stay up here.
Yeah. Ronnie.
That's fine. Let me
All right, yeah, that's.
He can't hear you.
I'm standing up here and you still can't see me.
As long as I'm not behind Rosenthal, I'm all right.
Yeah, I wish I'd taken that picture.
That's the better way.
One second. Okay. All right, we got it. One of this.
All right, back to work.
Thank you all.
Prohibiting public works. What does that mean exactly?
Next resolution recognizes National Philanthropy Day. Is anyone here representing National Philanthropy? Excellent. Please come forward. Resolution number 1915, whereas philanthropic organizations promote the welfare of others through many forms of donations, and whereas philanthropy is a uniquely American tradition, and our American nonprofit sector is the model for countries around the world. Whereas President Ronald Reagan signed a proclamation recognizing November 15th as National Philanthropy Day in 1986. And whereas the history of American philanthropy is filled with the names of the earliest Americans, and their efforts spawned universities, free public libraries, homes and for widows and orphans, and volunteer fire departments, to name a few. And whereas in 2017, Americans contributed more than $410 billion to over 1.5 million charities registered with the Internal Revenue Service. And whereas 63 million Americans volunteer about 8 billion hours annually of their time, talent, and effort to improve people's lives. And whereas America's nonprofit sector now accounts for over 10% of the American workforce. And whereas today the nonprofit sector affects nearly every citizen in one way or another, from museums, concerts, school-sponsored day trips, and other groups that enrich our youth, to social service agencies that provide food, clothing, housing, and training for those less fortunate. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, that said board hereby proclaims November 15th as National Philanthropy Day in Pasco County and urges all citizens to recognize the tradition of philanthropy as it continues to improve and enhance the lives of all by promoting the common good. Done and resolved in regular session with the quorum present and voting this 23rd day of October 2018, signed by the board.
Move approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 All right. Thank you.
Good
Thank you for all you
afternoon.
do.
You know me as Don Anderson, excuse me, CEO of the Coalition for the Homeless of Pasco County, but I also have the privilege of serving as president of our Association of Fundraising Professional chapter here in Pasco and Hernando. We go by the name of Nature Coast. I'd like to thank you for the recognition. Several of our board members are here with me. And I'd also like to thank you for the community service that you each provide and for your philanthropy in the community. You set a great example for us, and we really appreciate it as a non-for-profit community, the support that we receive from you consistently on all the issues. So we're just very grateful, and we'd like you to know that we'll be celebrating that day locally here on the 13th, Tuesday the 13th. It's a luncheon at the Spartan Manor, and each of you are invited. We'll recognize local philanthropists as well as organizations that are doing some tremendous work here in the county. So,
What was that date again?
Tuesday, November 13th. All right.
Excellent. Well, good. Well, thank you all.
Well, I think they all should speak, saying, representing what organization are you representing?
With AFP, but I also work with Metropolitan Ministries.
Yes?
Nancy.
Nancy Doherty, sorry.
AFP, but I'm Lisa Richardson, Pasco Hernando State College Foundation.
Jana McDonald, I'm with the Pasco Education Foundation, and I'm currently president-elect for the Association of Fundraising Professionals.
Wonderful.
Good.
Thank you so much for what you do.
Thank you. Thank you, each and every one of you.
You got it. She has it. She has it. Start again.
I only have one.
All right.
Next year you get
I don't need to do anything.
I got enough time to run in my truck and get some.
How are you doing? How are you doing? See ya. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Thank you. Here, I'll stay in the back there. Yeah? I'm good. Back. Happy. Thanks, Denise.
Awesome, thank you.
I need a picture of that. Wait.
Here for entertainment, people.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We'll get.
Hey, I need that card. ASAP. And I'll see you on the 7th.
We'll get to the official invite.
Okay.
Oh, yes, I know you're talking about.
You guys just look like it. It literally reminded me of that.
Congratulations. You're very welcome. Okay. Last one. 2:15.
Final resolution is for the Florida Native Plant Month. Is anyone here representing native plants? Please come forward.
We want all the members to come
The
up
more the
front.
merrier.
Bring them all with you.
Some information, may I?
Motion
pass
receive
it
and
up?
file.
Second.
Can I
All those in
pass
favor
this
say
up?
aye.
Aye.
All right. Pass.
Okay, resolution number 1916, Whereas the mission of the Florida Native Plant Society is the preservation, conservation, and restoration of the native plants and native plant communities of Florida. And whereas Florida Native Plant Society began in the summer of 1980 in Winter Park, Florida, by a group of scientists, educators, and conservationists concerned about the loss of Florida's native plants and the introduction of non-native species overtaking natural areas. And whereas the Florida Native Plant Society now consists of 38 chapters and 4,200 members from all walks of life who volunteer their time, knowledge, and skills in public workshops and land management reviews, and raise money for conservation and research grants, landscape awards, restoration projects, and teaching Floridians about the benefits of native plants. And whereas the Nature Coast chapter of the Florida Native Plant Society has over 140 members who participate in activities that benefit the citizens and environment of Pasco County. And whereas Pasco County has an incredible wealth of natural areas to showcase Florida's native plants and native plant communities. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, that said board hereby declares the month of October as Florida Native Plant Month in Pasco County and encourages the community to show their support and join in on the celebration. Done and resolved in regular session with the quorum present and voting this 23rd day of October 2018, signed by the board.
Move to approve.
Second?
Okay, got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, pass.
And this one is really special to me. As you all know, the Starkey family's been a long time environmentally conscious family. And also, I get it on the other side, because that's my mom standing up there in the orange over there. So I'm really honored to be the one sponsoring this. And I'd love for you all to say some words to the board.
I'm Johnny Spittler, the president of the Nature Coast chapter. And yes, we are very happy that you have sponsored that. Thank you very much, Commissioner Starkey. And thank you all, commissioners, for supporting native plants in the county of Pasco. I saw the Planning Commission here. I saw all these wonderful people, and people are very important. In order to make people happy, you have to have a pleasant environment. And our native plants bring in the birds and the bees, and you can sit in your backyard or on your porch and enjoy nature. And we don't need to lose that in Pasco. We can reconcile our native plants and nature with development. And that's what we would like to do if we can be of service in any way. And we are doing it. We have a demonstration garden at the newly named Heritage Park in Land O'Lakes, where we have planted native plants. We have a kiosk with information at the Werner Boyce State Park, and we continue to work and promote our vision and our mission, which is preserving, conserving, and restoring native plants and native plant communities of Florida. Thank you.
Thank you.
You.
Do either one of you want to speak?
Your mom surely wants to speak.
Well, you know, you give me an idea here, and I think we have a lot of buildings and a lot of facilities around the county, and I think it would be very smart if we made sure that we had native plants at our buildings and identified them as native plants. The other benefits of native plants are they take a lot less water, and they don't have the insect problem and fungus and whatever problems come with plants that aren't local. So I'd love to see us get on some kind of plan where we also use native plants. So
one little thing on that. I know there is, I don't know if it's an ordinance or a law or whatever, that says that a certain number of native plants have to be put in every development. But forethought and choosing the plants are important, because a live oak tree on the side of the road is not going to do the trick. So ask us anything you want when it comes to planning, folks.
Well, you should
Okay,
meet
there
with
you go.
our staff. They should get together with you, and you can all work together. And our planners are sitting over there. All right, let's go down and take a photo with our Native Plant Society. It's our last one.
I got it.
I got this in there. All right, come on.
Glad to meet you. Have I got some things to tell you?
I have things to tell you.
No one's telling anyone anything.
You should be. Check it right here. Yeah. There we go. That's perfect.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, you're not done.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Good, nice.
See you later, Maurice.
And thank all of you for your work.
Thank you very much.
Good job. Got everything?
Make this go a lot faster. We don't have public comment. It's like public comment. It's just on each other. Yeah, it's just on each other.
Now we will proceed with the public hearing agenda, starting with P1, ordinances. Madam Clerk, do we have proof of item P1?
We do. Tampa Bay Times, September 26, 2018.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Denise Hernandez, Planning and Development. The first item P1, is PDD 19007. This is the first reading on this item, so I will read it by title. An ordinance by the Pasco County Board of County Commissioners amending the Pasco County Land Development Code, providing for amendments to Section 406.1 signs, providing for applicability, repealer, severability, inclusion into the Land Development Code, and an effective date. As you may recall, the Board of County Commissioners directed Planning and Development Department to amend the dwell time for digital signs for regional attractors, and that dwell time was amended from 60 seconds to 15 seconds. This went before the local planning agency on October 11th, and the local planning agency found the proposed ordinance consistent with the comprehensive plan and recommended approval to the Board of County Commissioners. Again, this is just the first reading on this item. This is set for adoption on November 27th. At 1:30 p.m. in Dade City. I'm here for any questions. Shall you have any questions?
All right, any questions? Mr. Starkey?
Can you remind me who sits on the LPA now? 'Cause it
Local
used-
planning agency, the folks that sit on the local planning agency now are, the chairman is Chuck Gray, the vice chairman is Kevin
Oh,
Ryman.
the planning commission is the LPA?
Is a local planning
Okay.
agency, yes, I
Okay.
apologize.
So.
It's not the
I-
DRC anymore.
Not the DRC anymore.
All right. I knew it as the planning commission, but I didn't know it was the LPA.
But they were their hat as the local planning agency.
Okay. So I was reading your notes here, and it says that someone was complaining because the 60-second minimum interval of change between each individual message or the dwell time was not enough time for the drivers to read the messages. So therefore, we're going from 60 seconds to 15 seconds. So now the drivers can watch the sign change. Is that a safe idea?
Well, so in this case, the first driver will see one sign, and then the following driver will see a different one. It's not, I don't believe in this case they're going to see multiple messages. It's just that the 60 seconds, if they have a loop of 5 signs, for example, or 4 signs, that means that 5, 6, 7 drivers are going to pass, and they're just going to see, there's only going to be one sign shown.
So each driver is still going to just see one sign?
Yes, at that rate of speed, they're only going to see one sign.
So what does it matter if we change it from 60 to?
Because the sign is not looping sufficiently enough to show other, the point is they have a lot of different, events at this regional attractors by nature would have a lot of different events. So what'll happen is that for 60 seconds, there's going to be one static and they may be looping 5 different signs, but there's only going to be one available for 1 minute.
Can I help?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Mr. Chairman, can I help with that one?
Yes.
I think
Oh, I'm not done?
Well, no, I was going to help you with this one. the thought was there's a better chance next time they drive by, they're going to see the other
See
side.
something different?
Correct.
Right.
Or as they're turning, or as they're making a different movement onto the property.
You know, I've done a lot of research on signs. I'm part of Scenic Florida, and changing signs like that, I'm just not a fan of them. I think they're dangerous for the public. And everything I've read says they take your eye off the road, and you're trying to see what's coming next. So I'm not a big fan of it, but I know I'm the lone duck here.
Well, I do want to mention that the code does not allow any type of message sequencing or any type of animation.
No
These
spinning,
are
no
static.
flashing.
Right. No,
That helps.
Not whatsoever.
Okay.
And there's no sequencing, so like the following message would not have anything to do with the first message. So it's not saying, are you hungry? Why don't you eat some burgers? You know, it's not sequencing
Add
you
some fries.
through the message.
So what you're going to find, you'll see one sign when you come by, and then in the afternoon, if you come by another time, you may see a totally different sign when you
Okay.
come by. And they have 4 or 5 events during a week or two, and they want to make sure they advertise them all.
Some of the fair.
Yeah, from the fair area. Yeah.
Right.
So is there no approval today? It says
No,
approved.
it's just a
but-
public hearing, so
Just
if you would take public
hearing?
comment.
Do we have anyone signed up for?
We do not?
We
Not
have-
for P1, 16
okay.
and 17.
Have no one signed up for it? Is there anyone here in the audience that didn't sign up that would like to speak to this item? If not,
So this
thank
is
you.
set for adoption on November 27th, 1:30 in Dade City.
All right.
Okay.
All right, next item will be P2.
Okay.
We do have proof. Tampa Bay Times, September 26, 2018.
Okay, Commissioners, Denise Hernandez, again, Planning and Development. This is Land Development Code Amendment 34. We've had 33 amendments to the Land Development Code since the restated Land Development Code in 2012. This year, we're actually bringing forward 2 sets of minor fixes or glitch amendments through. I am going to read it by title, so bear with me. There's 45 different sections and subsections, including the actual Appendix A that are being changed or modified. So, and I'll just go over a few highlights on that. So this is an ordinance by the Pasco County Board of County Commissioners amending the Pasco County Land Development Code, Section 303.6, Application Submittal and Acceptance, Section 303.7, Application Review, Section 304.2, Public Notice, Section 305, Neighborhood Meeting, Section 402.2, Zoning Amendment, MPUD, Master Plan Unit Development District, Section 403.1, Preliminary Development Plan Residential, Section 403.2, Preliminary Development Plan Non-Residential, Section 403.3, Preliminary Site Plan, Section 404.2, Land Excavation Operating Permits, Section 404.3, Mining Section, 404.4, Construction, Demolition, Debris Disposal Facilities, Section 404.6, Yard Trash Disposal Facilities, Section 406.6, Model Centers, repealing section in its entirety and reserving section, Section 503, AC Agricultural District, Section 523, PO1 Professional Office District, Section 524, PO2 Professional Office District, Section 525, C1 Commercial, Neighborhood Commercial District, Section 526, C2 General Commercial District, Section 527, C3 Commercial Light Manufacturing District, Section 528, I1 Light Industrial Park District, Section 529, I2 General Industrial Park District, Section 530 Supplemental Regulations, Section 604 Northeast Pasco Rural Protection Overlay District, Section 700 Subdivision and Planning Standards, Section 802 Tree Preservation and Replacement, Section 905.2 Landscaping and Buffering, Section 907.1 On-Street Parking, Appendix A definitions and other sections as necessary for internal consistency, providing for applicability, repealer, providing for severability, inclusion into the Land Development Code, and effective date.
Do we have anybody signed up?
So these, this set of glitch amendments or minor fixes were brought to the horizontal roundtable and the Land Development Code interested parties meeting on June 20th and July 18th, and also on September 19th. On October 11th, the local planning agency found the amendments consistent with the Pasco County Comprehensive Plan and recommended approval to the board. I'm going to go over some highlights because, again, there's 45 different sections, subsections, and Appendix A definitions that are being modified. There's a lot of Scrivener's errors in here that we've worked on. There are a lot of unintended consequences from former Land Development Code amendments. One of the big things that we're doing here is one of your Tier 2 priorities was that you asked us to look at ways to eliminate bottle clubs And that's being done in this amendment, Land Development Code Amendment 34. So that fulfills that Tier 2 board priority for that. Something else that we're doing in this amendment to the Land Development Code is we're creating a section that basically allows for non-improvement plats. So for example, I don't know if you recall, and Commissioner Mariano, you may recall Boatyard Drive, where that, under the regular code, they would have had to have gone through an engineer to do the platting, to do the preliminary the preliminary development plan, rather. So this section now with the non-improvement plats would allow a division up to 10, to create up to a total of 10 lots. So as long as you don't need any infrastructure, it could be submitted by a professional surveyor or other licensed professional. It doesn't have to be an actual engineer, which is, they still have to go through the planning process, but it doesn't have that additional cost associated with it. And that would assist a situation like Boatyard Drive, Mr. Ficchetti, I don't know if you recall.
Yes, thank you very much.
I'm here for any questions you may have. Again, this is also the first reading on the ordinance, and this is actually set for adoption December 11th at 1:30 in Dade City.
Okay. I don't have anyone signed up for a public hearing on this item, but is there anyone here that has not signed up, would like to speak? Seeing none. Any other discussion?
Question.
Okay.
Denise?
Yes.
I've had discussions, I think, with you and Joaquin and some of the other staff about problems with the landscape code
Okay.
and the crepe myrtles.
Okay.
And that we have people who put crepe myrtles in and then keep them cut all year long, like they're trimming them. And in effect, it means they don't have the trees that they're required. So I'd like to add, while we're doing this, I think this is appropriate time, to amend our landscaping code that crepe myrtles not be counted as the landscaping trees. The trees that are fulfill the landscape requirement.
Okay.
Is that in 905.2?
Yes.
Okay. Because you can only amend what you've advertised.
Okay, she just said it's
in the middle.
Well, that's
So
good.
it's in there.
It makes it a lot easier for our county staff to not to have to go around and cite everyone who's improperly trimming their crepe myrtles. It's a big job.
It might also be somewhere in 800. 802? It's an 802.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Chairman, just
Yes.
a question. If we do this amendment, that doesn't make the people that have them in have to take them out?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. We move on to P3.
We do have proof, Tampa Bay Times, August 31st, 2018.
Good afternoon, Amy Heiler with Planning and Development. Item P3 is the adoption hearing for PDD 18-1397, a small-scale comprehensive plan amendment in the name of Shady Hills Car Lot. I will now read the ordinance into record. An ordinance amending the Pasco County Comprehensive Plan Future Land Use Map, Map 2-15 and Sheet 5, providing for a small-scale comprehensive plan amendment from Res 1, Residential 1 dwelling unit per gross acre, to COM Commercial on .66 acres more or less of real property located on the east side of Shady Hills Road, approximately 553 feet south of Bosley Drive, providing for severability and an effective date. The subject site is located in the North Market area on the east side of Shady Hills Road, approximately 553 feet south of Bosley Drive. The small-scale comprehensive plan amendment proposes a future land use change from Res 1, Residential 1 dwelling unit per gross acre, to COM Commercial on .66 acres to allow for the sale of used automobiles within a C2 General Commercial District in accordance with Policy Flu 1.6.1 Commercial Development. The inset shows the existing future land use, and this inset shows the proposed future land use. The surrounding zoning is characterized by commercial, with surrounding uses being towing, tire shops, auto repair, and a post office. The comprehensive plan amendment is consistent with Policy Flu 1.6.1F, which enables commercial infill development of 5 acres or less within areas not designated as COM. The subject site is also established as a C2 district prior to the adoption of the comprehensive plan and is not considered a conflict zoning because of this policy. However, the proposed land use to allow for automobile sales within a C2 district shall be permitted only if the property is designated as COM pursuant to Section 526.2.A.3 of the Land Development Code. Therefore, since the site is currently existing as a car lot and is consistent with the surrounding uses within the area, staff recommends the Board of County Commissioners find the comprehensive plan amendment consistent with the comprehensive plan and recommend approval of the proposed amendment. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Ms. Starkey?
So this gentleman will have to comply with our ordinance that covers auto sales and boat sales with the landscaping, the setbacks, the lighting, and all those things that are required with that ordinance.
As far as I'm concerned, I think because of it being 0.66 acres, that they do not have to abide by that setback.
Not
It was from, it,
Where does it say they get to be exempt from our ordinance?
Right.
I think,
Those were,
Victorios Pitos with Planning Development. So based on staff review, there are certain size car dealerships that would apply to the ordinance that you're referring to. In this particular case, because of the size of the lot itself, the requirements for the large buffers and the landscaping do not apply to the auto dealership in this case.
Okay, so we're at comprehensive plan here, we're not at actual site development.
Correct.
But a C2, a car lot in C2 would have to have the same buffer that Commissioner Starkey is referring to regardless of the size of the lot.
I do believe they can come in for an alternative standard. I've seen that on smaller lots where we had them put in a vinyl fence that was opaque, and then they had to buffer it with landscaping, but they do have to comply. I don't know. I'm dealing with these, and I've never seen it say anywhere where they're exempt.
We'll follow up with current planning to make sure that the appropriate buffer yards are applied. I'm not saying that they're entirely exempt from that ordinance, it's just the application may be different. But we can follow up with current planning to ensure that the buffer yards are accurate on that site.
Is
think that
that in what we're approving today?
No, all you're approving today is the change of the future land use to COM. The issue that needs to be looked at is, will they be able to do a dealership after they've gone through this, or a used car lot? Will they be able to do it on 0.66 acres, depending on the shape of the lot?
And we raised this issue very early on in the process as well. So we'll follow through with current planning as well.
Okay.
Does that need a motion?
Well, wait a minute.
need public
Do we
hearing
have
first.
anybody here to speak to this item? I don't believe we do. I don't have anybody signed
An
up.
applicant?
Is the applicant here? Would you like to speak? Name and address for the record. Thank you.
My name is James Johnson. My physical address is 15824 Peace Boulevard, Spring Hill 34610. This property has been a car lot since the early 80s, and it's always been a car lot. So there's already 6-foot high chain link fence all the way around, gates, cross fenced in the center with the office and such. So
They may be exempt from the ordinance, depending on, you want me to be quiet?
Yes.
Move approval?
You need to take public comment, and then
Okay,
if
sorry.
you've got, if that's,
Well, there was no one else for public comment, so he's the applicant, so he was speaking. I need to do it again?
so if you've said everything you need to say to the board, that's fine. And then they can ask for public comment, and then they can go to a motion. So unless you've got questions for the applicant, or he's got something to say to you, I think he's done.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else to speak to this item?
Seeing no one, move approval.
Got a motion
Move approval.
Second.
and a second? All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion passed.
Is that three, is that
4.
That was,
roll call? Is that a roll call?
oh, I don't know.
Yes, that is a roll call.
Okay.
So if you don't mind. I missed it. District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Commissioner Starkey.
Yeah, yes.
Aye, okay.
Yeah.
District 4, Chairman Wells. District 5, Commissioner Mariano.
Aye.
District 1, Vice Chairman Commissioner Oakley.
Aye.
Okay,
Motion passes.
okay, great, thank you.
Okay, we move on to P4. We have proof.
We do have proof, Tampa Bay Times, August 24th, 2018.
Good afternoon, Planning and Development. Denise Hernandez, Planning and Development. This is PDD 197357, the name of James A. Winkleman and Adriana Briggs. This item is actually being withdrawn by the applicant, so there's no further action required on this item.
Okay.
But, Mr. Chairman, this would probably be a good time for the clerk to swear in and for me to do the rezoning procedures. I can go ahead and do the rezoning procedures first, if you would like.
That'd be good.
There are 2 rezoning agendas, regular and consent. Staff will present each application to the Board of County Commissioners. If staff or Planning Commission has recommended approval and there is no opposition, the application will be considered by the board without further presentation. If staff or Planning Commission has recommended denial, or if there is opposition to the application, the applicant will be given 5 minutes for presentation. The opposition will be given 3 minutes for each individual, or 5 minutes for a group representative, and the applicant will be given 3 minutes for rebuttal. Any individual disagreeing with staff or Planning Commission recommendation, or anyone wishing to object to any condition of the rezoning may at this time request the petition be pulled from the consent agenda, in which case that application will be heard under the regular agenda later on during the meeting. Otherwise, all rezoning applications on the consent agenda will be approved by a single motion and vote. If you wish to speak to any petition, please give your name and address and whether or not you've been sworn for the record. These are quasi-judicial public hearings. The law in Florida is that mere public support or opposition of an application is insufficient for this board to take action. Please limit your comments to those criteria for rezoning found within the board's land development code.
Okay. Madam Clerk, would you swear?
If you plan to speak to any of these items, if you could stand and raise your right hand to get sworn in. Okay, thank you. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you are about to give is the truth, so help you God? Okay, thank you very much. We do have proof for P5, Tampa Bay Times, September 28th, 2018.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Denise Hernandez, Planning and Development. P5 is PDD 19 CU01, and it is Patricia McLeod and others. And this is a conditional use for an amusement park in the AC district. The applicant has requested a continuance to February 5th, 2019, BCC meeting at 1:30 in Dade City.
Move to continue time certain.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
P6, we do have proof, Tampa Bay Times, September 14th, 2018.
P6 is PDD 190089, and it's a large-scale comprehensive plan amendment, CPA L1809, in the name of Hagman. The applicant has requested a continuance to December 11, 2018, BCC meeting at 1:30 in Dade City.
Move to continue time certain.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion passed.
And
P7.
P7, we do have proof, Tampa Bay Times, August 18th, 2018.
Item P7 is PDD 19-1559, and it's a comprehensive plan text amendment, CPAL 1811. And this is a comprehensive plan to eliminate the Development Review Committee references in the comprehensive plan. And this item, staff is requesting a continuance to November 27, 2018, BCC meeting at 1:30 in Dade City.
Move to continue, time certain.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to continue. All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, like sign. Motion passed. P8,
So if it's okay with you, I'll go through all the rezonings, publications, P8 through P16. P8, Tampa Bay Times, September 14th, 2018, with affidavit of certified mailings. P9, Tampa Bay Times, August 10th, 2018, with affidavit and certified mailings and site postings. P10, Tampa Bay Times, September 28th, 2018. P11, Tampa Bay Times, September 28th, 2018, with affidavit of certified mailings and site postings. And P12, P13, P14, P15, and P16 all were advertised on September 28th, 2018.
Item P8 is PDD 18-7345, and it's a zoning amendment in the name of U-Haul Odessa MPUD. It's for a MPUD request. It's a rezoning request from I-2 General Industrial Park District to an MPUD, Master Plan Unit Development District, to allow 110,000 square feet of self-storage facility and a maximum of 3,000 square feet of retail on approximately 9.35 acres. This comes to you with a recommendation of approval with conditions from Planning and Development Department and the Planning Commission.
and this item's on consent.
Yes.
So we'll take public hearing or just
So on
8 through 16?
On 8, is there anybody here that is in opposition to P8 that wants to speak?
We don't have.
Otherwise, leave it on consent.
Okay. Move P8 as consent.
Okay, item P9 is PDD 197303. It's in the name of South Branch Ranch Crossings, MPUD, NCJ Investment Company. It's a rezoning from an AC Agricultural District to an MPUD Master Plan Unit Development District to allow 225,000 square feet of retail and 320,000 square feet of office on approximately 28.4 acres. And this comes to you with a recommendation of approval with conditions from Planning and Development Department and the Planning Commission.
Is there anybody in the audience who wishes to speak to this, to oppose this item? Speak in opposition to the item?
Move to consent.
Seeing no one, leave it on consent.
Item P10 is PDD 19-7320, and it's a zoning amendment, Morgan Road Park of Commerce LLC. It's a rezoning from an R2 low-density residential district and C2 general commercial district with a specific use to a C2 general commercial district. And this comes to you with a recommendation of approval from Planning and Development Department and the Planning Commission.
Is there anyone here to speak to against P10? Seeing no one, move it to consent.
Leave on consent.
Leave it on consent.
Or leave it on consent, excuse me.
Item P11 is PDD 197354. It's a zoning amendment in the name of Bangkok Nguyen. It's a rezoning from a C1 general commercial, neighborhood commercial district rather, to a C2 general commercial district. And this comes to you with a recommendation of approval from the Planning and Development Department and the Planning Commission.
Is anyone here to speak against P11? Seeing no one, leave it on consent.
Item P12 is PDD 197355. This is a zoning amendment in the names of David A. and Phyllis Carroll and others. And it's a rezoning from an AR agricultural residential and C1 neighborhood commercial districts to a C2 general commercial district. Comes to you with a recommendation of approval from the Planning and Development Department and the Planning Commission.
Is anyone here to speak against P12? Seeing no one, leave it on consent.
Item P13 is PDD 19-7356. It's a zoning amendment in the name of Planned Parenthood Wesley Chapel LLC. It's a change from AC Agricultural and C1 Neighborhood Commercial to a C2 General Commercial District. Comes to you with a recommendation of approval from the Planning and Development Department and the Planning Commission.
Anyone here to speak to P13 and against P13? Seeing no one, leave it on consent.
Item P14 is PDD 19-CU02. It's conditional use in the name of Puren Sukai and others. It's for multiple family dwelling units in a C2 general commercial district. This comes to you with a recommendation of approval with conditions from the Planning and Development Department and the Planning Commission.
Is there anyone here to speak against P14? Seeing no one, leave it on consent.
Item P15, I can read it into record, but there's an added condition on that item. Is that okay, or should I remove it from consent in order to add the condition?
You can add the condition, and if the board, that's fine.
Okay. So
Read it into the record.
Thank you. Item P15 is PDD 19-CU04 in the name of Hudson Storage LLC. It's for multiple family dwelling units in a C2 general commercial district. The added condition, and the applicant is here to state whether she is in agreement with it, is to add a condition that states multiple family dwelling units shall be age restricted in accordance with section 1302.1.d of the Land Development Code. And this comes to you with a recommendation of approval with conditions from Planning and Development Department and the Planning Commission, and of course with this new added condition.
Is anyone here to speak against P15? Is it, she's the applicant?
Barbara?
Yes.
Yes.
So we'll pull from consent.
Pull it off the consent.
Okay. Pull 15 off consent.
You'll get an opportunity in a few minutes.
Okay.
That was the end
P16?
of your consent agenda, because the other one's regular.
Motion to approve remaining consent items.
Second.
Have a motion to approve the remaining consent items and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Now we'll come back to P15.
Yes, let me just queue up. Thank you. Excellent, okay. All right. So as stated, item P15 is a conditional use for multiple family dwelling units in a C2 district. The parcel is located in northwest Pasco County at the southwest corner of the intersection of, I apologize, at the southeast corner of the intersection of Sea Ranch Drive and Delmar Drive, and extends easterly until US 19. The conditional use that's being requested today is for, currently the parcel is Zone C2 General Commercial District. The applicant is requesting a conditional use for multiple family dwelling units, and as stated in the added condition, the multiple family dwelling units will be age restricted in accordance with the Land Development Code 1302.1.d. The parcel is located in the West Market area, and it's in an urban service area. Here's a location of the parcel. Surrounding future land uses, the site access. This is the conceptual site plan for the 120 units on the parcel, conceptual only. And this item went to the Planning Commission. It comes to you with a recommendation of approval with that added condition from the Planning and Development Department staff. The Planning Commission moved to approve the item as well. And I'm here with any questions. I believe the applicant is here as well.
Okay. So is there anyone here to speak to P15? The applicant speak first.
Good afternoon, Barbara Wilhite, 2523 Permit Place, Newport Richey, Florida, 34655. For the applicant, we are here to answer any questions. There was no public comment at the Planning Commission, so I'd like to just defer and then be able to respond to any concerns. And we are in agreement with the added condition, which will only allow for those to be senior apartments at this location.
Right.
For the record, Mr. Chairman, I had met with the applicant yesterday afternoon. We did talk about it, and I did talk about this condition that is being added.
Yeah, and there was an ex parte form submitted into the record earlier today.
Okay.
To acknowledge that.
Right.
Okay, so.
Okay, is anyone here to speak against this item?
Well, this is, anybody who wants to speak on this item, it's
Yeah,
their
just on this
opportunity to
item.
be heard.
Not against. would be for, right?
Yeah, it's,
Please state your name and address for the record.
Joe Burke, I live at 6812 Curlew Lane in Hudson, Florida. And my main concern...
and you have been sworn, sir?
Pardon?
You have been
were sworn
sworn?
in by the clerk when she asked you to be sworn in?
I don't think so.
Okay, if you want to do that, we can do that right now. Or have the other two? Okay, if you raise your right hand, do you swear or affirm the testimony you are about to give is the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Great, thank you.
The questions I have concerning this development is the fact that we have not been notified of any upgrades to the area. There's a pumping station, a lift station, about approximately 200 feet from where this proposed site is going to be. There's been nothing, you're looking at adding, I believe, the paperwork I've seen said 108 units. Okay, you're basically doubling the capacity on that lift station. Haven't seen any plans as far as access to this. Is the access going to be from 19? Is it going to be from Delmar? Any type of barriers? There's really been very little information put out to the residents. You know, how is the infrastructure being addressed?
Mr. Chairman, so
Yes.
he asked the questions, just let him know, finish their statement, and then staff can
Yeah,
come up
when
and
you,
answer.
when you
that's fine.
finish,
They're
staff will
my
answer
own
questions. Okay, thank you.
He has the same questions I was going to ask.
6813, my name is Deborah Ann Garrison. I live on Curlew Lane. Our thing was more or less the same thing, the dumping station, water-wise, or right now there are two ponds up there that are taking water from 19 now. Where are they transferring that water? How it is from our development out. Over across the street of Delmar, there's actually a big ditch for retaining water that comes off of 19. Now you're adding more parking lot area, more building area that this water has to go around. That's an issue for all of us in all those little roadways of where's this water going? Are we going to be flooded out even more?
I'm sure the applicant can answer your questions and staff also.
Yeah, that's
Next.
about it.
Gentlemen?
They covered everything for me.
Okay. You don't have anything to say?
No, no, sir.
Okay.
My husband.
Always let the wife speak.
Barbara Wilhite again for the applicant. We are at the rezoning stage, and that is why they don't have answers to their questions. There's no development plans that have been submitted for this property. The request is to add the ability to have multifamily, in this case senior apartment use, to a parcel that's already approved for the full range of C2 uses. But rest assured, when the development plans come forward, we'll have to address the things of access, buffers, water, sewer, drainage.
Yep.
It's just at this stage, we're not at that stage yet, so.
Right, okay. Anything else?
Move to approve?
Second?
Got a motion to approve with a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Mr. Chairman, that
Motion
is with the
passed.
noted condition added.
The additional
Yeah, with additional conditions.
Additional condition.
Thank you. The following item, P16, is
Okay.
PDD 19 CU05. And this is also a conditional use for multiple family dwellings in a C2 general commercial district. They're proposing approximately 144 multiple family apartment complex with 144 units. The parcel has a future land use designation of retail office residential, ROR. It's within the West Market area and the urban service area. And the site is composed of 12.2 acres. It's located on the southwest corner of the intersection of State Road 52 and Nature Trail, and it extends westerly to La Madera Boulevard in the Northwest Market area. Sorry, in the West Market area, not north. This is the access to the site. It's being shown off of La Madera and Nature Trail. There's also an additional condition that on this site that the applicant has agreed to. And with the, it It's an additional condition from the applicant. It was not proposed to the Planning Commission. This does come to you with a recommendation of approval with conditions, but we're proposing to add this additional condition, which is access to nature trail shall be limited to emergency access only, which shall be gated unless otherwise required by the county at the time of preliminary site plan approval. I know that there are several folks that have signed up to speak on this item, so we'll hear their questions and provide answers as we get the questions.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, one question for staff. Denise, what was on the site before it was cleared out years ago?
So on the site before it was cleared up, it was a residential treatment and care facility, which consisted of it was like a retirement home, and it appears to have been demolished according to our building permits that I've been able to research in 2007.
Okay.
That's what was on there before.
Okay, and just for the record, I did meet with the applicant yesterday, and we did talk about the access not being allowed on Nature Trail, just going off to the other side except for the emergency.
And there is an ex parte form to that effect as well with the clerk's office.
Well done, Barbara.
All right. Ms. Wilhite?
Hi, Barbara Wilhite, 2523 Permit Place, Newport Richey, Florida, 34655 for the applicant. And yes, I've been sworn. We have added now 2 conditions. One is an enhanced buffer requirement that we added at Planning Commission to increase the buffer requirement along the south side. Although the south side, the majority of it, other than one residential lot, is already multifamily. We also have now, listening to the residents of Bear Creek and talking to folks outside of this meeting, it seems like their major concern is additional traffic on Nature Trail. This property fronts on Nature Trail, State Road 52, and La Madeira. So the condition that we've worked out with the access management staff and your zoning staff is to restrict the access to any access to Nature Trail to just be emergency gated access. Only your emergency services department has the code to that. It doesn't become, we always get that question, will that actually become something of an access just because, but no, the answer is not, it's gated. So we've added that condition unless, of course, the staff requires something else or the code requires something else. It's residential multifamily is consistent and compatible with single family. To the south is already multifamily. To the west is multifamily C2. To the east is C2 multifamily. But to the southeast is the Bear Creek subdivision. Again, we're at zoning level. I think you might hear comments that are more site plan. We'll be glad to discuss those when a site plan comes forward, but it's the same proposal here to add multifamily uses. It is approved for the full range of commercial uses. It's an ROR land use, a pretty intense and dense land use to begin with. So it's consistent, the request is consistent with the plan and also consistent with the intensity of the commercial that's there today. A fast food restaurant could go in with no zoning approvals. A shopping center can go in. The multifamily use will have less impervious surface, less parking, so the use is actually less intense than it would be for the full range of commercial uses that are approved today. And I'll be back for any questions or follow-up.
I have one question.
What was the question?
So the major concerns you've heard from the residents through any meetings was access
Access.
and buffering?
Buffering wildlife.
Uh-huh.
And then, well, we'll let them speak for themselves, but.
Access, okay.
And then people always seem to have concern about multifamily uses and crime and all those things, but I think we have those challenges no matter what the use is.
So the name here says RV assisted living, so it's possible this may be an assisted living site or it might be something else.
So that property is held in the name of ARV Assisted Living.
Oh, okay.
It's just the deed is in that name. So when the staff brings forward an application, they use however the deed's in the name of. But assisted living is an approved C2 use, so it's under the range of C2 uses today.
Because
The ownership is the prior, the deed is in the prior ALF's ownership still, is why that's coming up as that corporation.
That's the name, yeah, the name they titled that property in was ARV,
Previous
assisted
home.
living.
Because the reason I bring that up is because if it's an assisted, if it is an assisted living facility, that's very little traffic.
We wouldn't be here today.
And, right?
No, that's true, that's true. And
So I'd hate to
actually,
restrict them.
relative to multifamily, to C2, the C2 uses are much more intense,
Right.
a much more traffic generator. A fast food restaurant would have a lot more traffic than multifamily. So traffic generation, this is not a use that we're adding that will increase transportation impact. But access management will be reviewed at time of site plan, and staff reviews that carefully.
Well, and I appreciate you willing to accommodate the concern about more traffic, but sometimes we do things to accommodate that make it not a good plan. And my planners would tell you we have a lot of, spite stops, and we've made some decisions that aren't good for traffic circulation. So I wonder if we might consider that if it is an assisted living facility, we let them have access to nature, because
Assisted living's already allowed under C2, so it's not covered by this
Oh,
conditional use.
okay.
So this conditional use would apply to a multifamily apartment project.
that would have more traffic.
Right. Assisted living, the condition that staff read in would not apply because that's already a C2 use.
Okay, all right, then.
Okay.
I'll shut up then.
And
Mr.
just for-
I got Mariana. Go.
Yeah.
Just for a little background too, as far as the access management and all. On the east side is where Nature Trail is, where Bear Creek subdivision is. This parcel comes between that and La Madera, where it enters into Timber Oaks. Into Timber Oaks, there's a bunch of apartment buildings, complexes going down there that have also restricted the access where they can't go across. But they can still, this will actually give them, at La Madera, as there's a light there, there's also a little shopping center that's there too, which would be more applicable. I think on State Road 52, they're going to have a right turn in and a right turn out, which gives them good access as well.
Okay.
You know the area.
Commissioner
better.
Moore?
No, I'm good. I just think anytime, though, we're able to, whether it be assisted living facility, apartment complex, or a retail establishment, keep that traffic off residential roads, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's my opinion, though. I mean, the less
Yeah. I understand that.
people impede on a residential development, I think that's a good thing. 52 is a major road. That's where people's ingress and egress should be, not through a residential neighborhood. That's my opinion.
And I would tell you that I think the planners would say that the more options you have, the better dispersed the traffic is, the less traffic jams you have, so.
Yeah.
Well, but 52 is made to hold that.
I don't know the area, so I'm not going to speak to it.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, Ms. Wilhite did make a comment about that there was an enhanced buffer approved by the Planning Commission. There was some conversation about an enhanced buffer, but the Planning Commission did not motion to amend the conditions to add the enhanced buffer. So I
it's
just
not
wanted to
on.
clarify that
Okay.
for the record.
Right.
So we would need to add that.
So we do have 7 people signed up, and I'll read in the order that you signed in. We have, if you want to line up, I'll read the first 3. Danny Halterman, David Meyer, and Timothy, oh, I'm sorry, that's P17. Hold on, I'm sorry. Back to P16. Sorry, yours is the next issue, but so you know your order. All right, sorry about that. Carrie Joseph, Sandy Mullins, Garvett, Connors. You 3 could line up. We do have 7 altogether.
Please state your name and address, and also that you've been sworn.
Thank you. Commissioners, my name is Sandy Mullins, and I live at 8611 Gandy Lane in Bear Creek. Okay. Can you hear me all right?
The top.
Just top down like this?
Bend the top.
Oh.
There you.
Whoa.
TV skit.
You can't take that home with you.
Like
as a
I'm on
souvenir.
Saturday Night Live here. Okay. How's this? Can you hear
That's
me?
good.
Can
That's
you all
very
hear
good.
me? Okay. My name is Sandy Mullins, and I'd like to, just so you, it's always good to be able to see what you're talking about. So I want to.
Motion to receive and
Move
file.
to receive, second?
May I approach?
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
I'm not a lawyer, but I taught law studies. And this is an overview, but there's some pictures just,
So Ms. Mullins, if you can speak into the microphone.
okay, hang on, I'll get my one sheet out of there.
We can put it on the screen if you want to show them.
Oh, yeah, that would be great. Just to give you
And I need your name and address.
And whether or
Surely.
not you've been sworn.
Sandy Mullins, Mullins.
And were you sworn earlier?
Yes,
when-
I was.
Excellent, thank you.
And
I
address?
listened.
Address?
My address is 8611 Gandy Lane, Port
Okay.
Richey. Okay, I sent all of you, with the exception of Ms. O'Neill, 2 documents in the email. Did you all get them? On Friday, I emailed them to you. Is that a no?
You can't, well, you can't, you just got to state your statements. They can't answer questions.
Yep.
Okay. We could save a lot of time.
Fringes.
Okay. Here we go. The property that we're talking about is the main entrance into our housing development. We were built around a bird sanctuary in the 1980s, and there are 644 mid-sized homes, and we're a settled community. So being settled, we care very much about new plans that come into effect. Now, from 1998 until 2007, there was an assisted living facility. It was a wonderful place, and everybody got along. There were single-story buildings. I know that the applicant says that there's no buildings and no plans on hand now, but that's not necessarily so. She's representing the landowner. They want to sell the land, and in order to sell the land, they have to get the zoning changed. And the developer is a man by the name of Jim Dial with New Visions Community, and he has a partner over in Tampa. I've spoken with him. We've had email communication with him. And he wants to build somewhere between 120 and 144, five three-story buildings with a pool, a rental office, and a clubhouse. It's going to be low income, and I have no problem with low income. But if you put 144 multiple-story buildings in our entrance, you will totally destroy our character of our neighborhood. We're called Bear Creek. We are on Nature Trail. Our streets are called Bear Paw, Huntsman, and those things. Oh, that can't be my time.
You got 1 more minute.
Oh, this is what you guys do.
You
You
have
never
one
let
more
anybody
minute.
finish.
You
You
have
never
one
let
more.
anybody finish. That's what we went to the county commission, to the planning commission, and we got 3 minutes.
You've got
They
3
didn't
minutes
ask.
here.
Okay, I'll take it really fast then. And I hate that this is how our government works. Maybe that's what's wrong with people today. The thing is that we don't want those buildings coming in. We would like them to build 50 or 60 single-story buildings. We have peacocks that walk down our street. We have osprey. We have the most wonderful animals and bird sanctuary you've ever seen. I talked with Lakeland, the Office of the Florida Wildlife. We are going to lose our songbirds. The other birds will start looking for other sanctuary. We will have an increased incidence of what they call bird strike, and that's birds flying against the buildings. And yes, there are other apartments, but the one at Hudson Ridge is located, oh, come on, let me just finish this.
Finish this. Your 3
Thank
minutes
you. I'm
is up.
voting, you know. I'm voting. I speak. Okay, there.
The hook's coming.
It's located between shopping strips. There are no homes, okay? We are a residential area. You know that because you guys, I read it in the paper, you want to spend more money fixing up West Pasco because we were the ones that started Pasco County, and you need to look at us after East Pasco. There's been development along 52. Several new businesses have opened, so we want a business. And the traffic will be, if you have 144 low-income apartments with 2 parking spots each, you know that I would rent there, and I would have a roommate or 2, and we'd have at least 2 cars.
Yeah.
And you're going to cut through, we have nature trails that cut through over to Schrader. It's a big accident area.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay,
the
I'm
speaker's
sorry.
Time has
I
expired.
wish you would go back. My request
Thank
is
you. Your
go back
time's
and
up.
read what I sent you.
Ma'am, your time's up. I'm
I
sorry.
understand.
The next person on the list is, well, we have Carrie Joseph and Garrett Connors. Is Carrie Joseph here?
In the back
Oh,
bar.
go ahead, Carrie. That's okay. Go ahead. Come on up, Carrie.
Can you get IT to come?
Your name and address, and then if you've been sworn.
Yes.
Okay.
My name is Carrie Joseph. I live at 8521 Honeybee Lane.
I'll go like this.
Sorry, a little nervous. As far as this.
Have you been sworn?
Have you been
Yes,
sworn?
I have.
Okay,
before.
great. Thank you.
As far as, well, this HUD housing going in and stuff, and 144 apartments per that square foot, I think you should not compact it so much and maybe bring it down to 100. And as far as a wall, I definitely would push through a cement wall, at least 8 foot high, and not a chain link fence if we have kids in there, or tear it down later on for them to destroy it. And then we just need trees, shrubbery, and native plants, as Ms. Starkey will go. Okay. And as far as she's talking about going on to nature's our way, it's 2 property classifications. So I think we should have the wall, and then just the fire truck should have the code for that gate and keep it locked at all times. Because people are going to hang out around the wall, and we're already finding drug needles and stuff, and we just need more lights and something better, something in plan for better for our development if it's going to go through.
Okay,
Okay?
cool, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next, please, name and address for the record, please.
Well, Mr. Oakley's not here, so should I wait for him?
No, just keep going, sorry.
He'll be right back.
He can hear it throughout the whole building.
Just teasing.
Oh.
My name is Kathy Sweet. Don't let my name fool you. I live at 8526 Honeybee Lane. I inherited the home when my uncle had it built in 1981. He's been passed away for 7 years. He'd be very upset over this. The site upon which the proposed use is located has suitable drainage, that's all we're asking, access, ingress and egress, on-site parking, loading areas, refuge collection, and adequate utilities available to service the site. Again, we need lighting when you come into Bear Creek. Dumpsters and service areas are sources of irritation, particularly if they contain food waste. The best solution is to require that they be located internally within the building, or at least be set back from the adjacent property line and screened. Roof dumpster enclosures should be required for the residents. It is currently unknown if there is suitable water drainage, because we really don't have a lot of sewer drainage in Bear Creek. I mean, if you ever go in there, you'll see that ourselves, we have that issue. Water drainage able to adequately reduce or maintain the same flow that is currently shared from now underdeveloped property. The site upon which the conditional use is to be located has or will have screening and buffering sufficient to prevent interference with the enjoyment of surrounding properties. Bear Creek residents request a decorative 12-foot masonry fencing wall for nature trail across from the back of the proposed complex. A separation is required under land development code because there are 2 different zoning classes. Fabric-covered fencing is unacceptable. We refer the commission to the fencing that was required of the developers in Trinity. Providing an interior wall of fire-rated masonry 12-foot tall with no openings may seem like an intrusion, but consider that many rear yard setbacks are poorly maintained areas used for waste stations, service, and unsightly long-term storage. A masonry wall provides privacy and a property edge along which the adjacent resident can landscape in a variety of ways. Again, we talk about the landscaping we asked you for. Also, parking and service areas are enclosed, and the new development has fewer site constraints. So again, we ask for, trees, shrubbery, lighting, so that it's lit up more. Pasco County, to that area. It's a shame that some of those buildings have not been taken down. It's a shame that no one has literally asked that these people that own these properties that are vacant and have been vacant for years do not take it down. The Blue Dolphin building was demolished. What's wrong with the rest of the people that own these buildings? Why can't they take their property down and make it look good? Thank you again for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Okay, the remaining people for P16 include Garrett Connors. Are you Mr. Connors? And just so the rest can line up, Marilyn Fitzgerald, Kelly Green, and David Maines. And anyone else who wants to speak on P16.
Garrett Connors, 11409 Possum Trail, as Port Richey. I'm yielding my time to Sandy.
You can't yield your time.
I cannot yield my time?
No.
Okay.
Were you sworn?
Opposition to this
Were you
project.
sworn in?
Yes, I was.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I am in opposition to this project just due to the fact that this is a high-density development that they're looking to put in, which is not consistent with the area of Bear Creek, which is all single-family homes, all right? There is a rumor, and I'm just going to say a rumor, that this is to be HUD housing, okay? Which, again, is not consistent with private families, okay? I think that it's the duty of the commission, of your commissioners, to assure that, you know, the quality of life does not diminish. I mean, your own website says that you're here to enhance our quality of life, not diminish it. Okay, and I just don't think this type of density housing is appropriate for this area. I thank you for your time.
I thank you.
Okay, we have Marilyn Fitzgerald, Kelly Green, and David Maines. Are any of them here? Okay, good. Come on up, Kelly. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kelly Green, 8708 Wolfden Trail.
Have you been sworn?
I have.
You have positive, yes?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I'm having a panic attack. Now, they already addressed my concern. It was the traffic. I do agree with the traffic flow there. It will increase by about, what, 280 cars. There's a cut through. There's only one way, two ways into our development and two ways out. That's it. They will definitely take Little Road to Schrader Road to Nature Trail to get in, but they've already worked on that. I did want to just reiterate that it will not be a assisted living facility again. I wish it were. What we have a problem with is how many apartments they plan to put in. It's New Vision Communities, I believe they are. They suggested between 120 to 144. So it's that density that we had a problem with because, again, that does take away from our wildlife. We're very concerned right now in our community. Our safety is a priority. Our kids do play in the streets. Our elderly do walk every night. I walk every night. So we are worried about that traffic. So we do ask that you do not, I don't even know how to word this.
You're doing great.
Basically, yes, another single-level business, that would be great, but we do oppose the multi-levels. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. We have Marilyn Fitzgerald and David Maines signed up. Okay, thank you. You are correct.
It's Donald, not David.
Oh, Donald, I'm sorry. Thank you, Donald.
That's all right, David's my brother.
Oh, okay.
All right, and yes, I have been sworn in. If the county commissioners elect to permit a land use change...
Mr. Maines, can you give us your address, please?
Oh, I'm sorry, 11635 Nature Trail in Bear Creek.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay, if the county commissioners elect to permit a land use change despite our requests and protestations, the residents of Bear Creek ask that the commissioners impose conditions on the applicant which adequately address the issues of noise, traffic, fire, evacuation, safety, crime, loss of property value, loss of birds and other wildlife, and the quality of life presently enjoyed by the homeowners of Bear Creek. We would ask that they create a tenant law enforcement registry where every tenant must register with local law enforcement so they can cross-reference registered occupants with incarceration records for misdemeanors, felonies, sex offenders, and parolees. This registry will keep our neighborhood safe and crime-free by giving the Sheriff's Department the information they need to enforce the zero-tolerance policies of federally funded housing authorities. I've lived in Bear Creek for better than 20 years, and it has, I've watched as seemingly a lot of the problems in Pasco County have been pushed west of Little Road, most notably low-income housing and the homeless problem. This has resulted in a spike in crime, in drug use, as well as a depreciation in property values for us homeowners there. I am disabled, but every morning I have to set my alarm at 5 o'clock because my wife is afraid to walk from our front door to the driveway to her car to be able to go to work. That's due to the spike in crime and the homeless issue and everything that continuously seems to be pushed west of Little Road. We've become the rug that all the problems of Pasco are swept under, and this is just going to exacerbate that situation. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else who wants to speak to this item, please come forward, form a line, and go ahead and remember to say your name, address, and if you've been sworn.
Yes, I've been sworn. My address is 8515 Honeybee Lane, right off of Nature Trail. My name is Jeanette Schmidt. I've lived there for 23 years. I've watched the traffic come from Little Road onto 52, numerous speeding through there, accidents on Nature's Trail. Nobody wants to take responsibility. They're always hit and run, and now you want to put, no offense, a HUD housing up on our corner. We've already been distraught from all the problems that county officials have dumped on us. We had Amanda Murphy come out, and I believe Jack Mariano was supposed to be there for our meeting, who didn't show up. Amber came out. She didn't know a darn thing about our neighborhood. You tried to get us to pay for our own roads, even though they're county roads, and she said, no, there are roads, private roads. Well, if there are roads, private roads, we want a fence put up on both ends. You're also infringing on the senior citizens that are in Timber Oaks, which, of course, is one of my mom and her neighbors. And nobody in that area even knew about what was going on. And now you're going to take all the traffic that already comes from Brown Development and Brown Acres and comes through Ponderosa out through La Madeira, and now you're going to put more apartments up there and drag more people through their subdivision, wrecking their privacy and peace also. I highly disagree. I prefer a business to be put there. At least we have something besides housing. You take it down the mall to put in apartments, you took down the flea market. We have nothing, nothing. I have an empty gas station on one corner and an assisted living on the other. And now you're going to just destroy our privacy and our peace and our housing that was built for people, working people in this county. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dale Thompson. I live on Hachita Drive in Timber Oak subdivision.
Have you been sworn in?
Yes, I have. I just want to say that, first of all, I forgot about this meeting, and I was literally dragged out of the car as I was pulling in. I am very disappointed with the people at Timber Oaks because there's like 5 of us here, and everybody's been complaining and complaining and complaining ever since they found out about this. My problem right now is I don't mind speaking for or against anything, but we don't even know for sure. One minute we're hearing that it's low-income housing, the next minute we're hearing that it will be with children, then we're hearing that it's going to be an adult, then we're hearing assisted living. I don't really feel I have the right to even comment until I know for sure what I'm commenting on. But Jack, you know, Dale Thompson here, Facebook, if there's one thing I complain about is the traffic and how unsafe it is on Ponderosa. And you're talking, if you're talking low-income housing with children, we're talking about way more school buses and everything else going through there. We're still worrying about what's going to happen with the golf course that we gave up. I hope we don't have to have low-income housing. And I may wind up in one someday, but I still wouldn't want it to be there to mess up Bear Creek and Timber Oaks. We saw the beach that was going up. We thought, oh my gosh, this side of Pasco is finally going to get fixed up. Everything's going to be nice. It's not all going to go out by Wesley Chapel. Now I'm getting a little concerned because it seems like everything might be going back downhill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I know we have some more people that are speaking a bit. The question's been asked quite a few times, and I have a feeling it's going to come up again. Let me get to the microphone. I got you. The HUD housing keeps being brought up. I have not heard that in any presentations or by staff, so can somebody from before more people ask the same question? It's not an audience question, it's a staff question, so can you
Mr. Chairman,
refer to that?
Commissioner Moore, whether or what sort of housing it is not really before you. This is a
I know it's not before us, but
multi-family project.
And I understand, but
it's a land use decision. That's what you have to consider.
And I can appreciate that, but I want to know. I mean, no.
Quiet down.
Cannot clap here. That's inappropriate here in the commission.
And Mr. Chairman? Yes. This is a conditional use as well. So we have more flexibility with this determination than most other zonings we do get.
Yeah.
So, can anybody answer?
We got another.
It was not presented to us as HUD housing. It was just simply a conditional use for multiple family dwelling units in a C2 district. Perhaps the applicant may be able to answer that question.
Because some of the ones we've approved recently, that had came before us with the approvals.
I think it's appropriate to hear from the applicant before more people.
Ms. Wilhite?
Because we can't answer the question. I can't answer the question.
Barbara Wilhite for the applicant. Our application is for multifamily, a conditional use for multifamily. There is a contract on the property for one potential use if that contract closes, and that contract purchaser does not propose HUD housing.
It's not, okay.
Okay.
I got Jim Dye's number from your office.
Ma'am,
And I talked to him.
you can't talk from the audience. Next gentleman.
I'm not on the list.
Okay,
Oh,
come
that's
forward.
okay. Yeah, we've already exhausted the list, so anybody else who wants to speak.
State your name, address, and then if you've been sworn.
I have not, sir.
You
Not
raise
been
your right
sworn?
hand. I have to look. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you are about to give is the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay.
Name and address, please.
It's Louis Ruelas. I live in 8812 Honeycomb Drive.
Can you spell that last name, please?
Yes, Ruales.
Thank you.
I'm not going to rehash what's already been stated quite eloquently, and I appreciate that. All I wanted to make a statement, although I wasn't planning on saying it, is as a resident there, I am concerned with any influx of traffic that any potential apartment place, irrespective of what type it is going to bring to the community. My original concern was, and hopefully it'll get clarified, was if it is a low-income HUD-type housing, with all due respect, I tend to see that a lot of that will bring a lot of decrease in property value. So my only and major concern, besides crime rising and traffic, is the potential for any one of our Bear Creek or any community close by, that the potential of loss of revenue from your homes is my major concern, and that's, I just wanted to go on the record saying that.
All right, thank you. Next. Please state your name and address for the record, and if you've been sworn.
My name is Patricia Morrow. I live in Timber Oaks at 8215. I have been sworn in.
Okay, thank you.
I didn't know about this meeting until just recently. My board doesn't know anything about this project that supposedly mentions La Madeira over here, and I'd like to know what La Madeira has to do with the coming and going of the traffic in the supposedly income housing that they're putting up. Anybody have an answer?
Mr. Moore.
Staff will answer that question when she's
Can
done.
I answer that?
Okay, I just wanted to state that there's a condition on record that the access to the property is going to be from La Madeira. The access will be from La Madeira and potentially State Road 52. The restriction on the access is from Nature Trail, limited to emergency access only. However, all these things will be looked at the time of site plan. Access management analysis, accessing the property, that will all be looked at the time of the preliminary site plan, preliminary development plan for the property, which is not before you today.
Okay.
I'd like to know why it's not before us today, if it's mentioned over here, and my development knows absolutely nothing about it.
Because this is a conditional use hearing, ma'am.
Okay,
And and so you're not at site plan. That's why it's not before you today.
okay. When will it be before us?
So that's an administrative approval. So the board has a public hearing on a conditional use. That's what's before them today. That's not the site plan. The site plan will later be approved administratively by planning staff if it meets the code. That's the way the planning process works.
And how do I find out about all of this? Because where I live, nobody knows anything about it, but they're talking about bringing traffic into my development. We're a retirement development in there. We don't need that kind of traffic coming through there. We have a light there. If you're going to put this housing up there and you have no light to your access where you're going to put this housing, does that mean everybody's coming through my development to come to the light to get out onto 52?
Mr. Chairman.
You can't put another light there. It's only a couple of feet away.
Mr. Chairman, she's making a lot of great points. Let me ask a question to the county attorney. I know when we have these developments that are coming in, generally speaking, we'll have public hearings at neighborhood associations. Clearly, Bear Creek is one, and Timber Oaks coming out for the first time, because I hadn't heard anything from Timber Oaks either.
Because we don't know anything about it.
And I want to address that right now for you. These are associations that when we have a meeting, they show up. I'm wondering, is it part of our protocol that we actually do have neighborhood meetings when we're having something like this come forward?
You'd have to ask the planning director what the current policy is.
All right, so. Ma'am, I'm trying to get your question answered. It just
Okay.
take a little bit to get there, but just hang on if you would.
Nectarios Pitos with Planning and Development. I'm going to defer to Denise on the call for neighborhood meeting. She can explain it better.
So generally, and I can walk up. Generally, on conditional uses, unless they're in certain types of areas, like the rural areas, a neighborhood meeting is not required. However, this can actually be conditioned that the applicant hold a neighborhood meeting before the preliminary site plan is submitted for the item. But under the Land Development Code, regularly, just a conditional use for multifamily would not require a neighborhood meeting.
But when they do the site plan, will a neighborhood meeting be provided at that time? Or?
That, we can require that, yes.
Okay. And that's when they'll be notified and everybody
Well,
understand what.
there will be neighborhood notice 30 days prior to 30 days from the time that the preliminary development plan is approved. However, a condition can be added to this conditional use that the applicant hold the neighborhood meeting, or the applicant can actually come up and tell you that she will hold a neighborhood meeting.
So Bear Creek and Timber Oaks, they will be part of the group that would be notified when this
We
comes
can
back?
specifically request, and the person who just spoke, she can also give me her specific address, and we can put her on the list for notification. We've done that before.
All right.
Well, so good. I think Commissioner Marion had a
Just- let me
question.
just follow up.
And also to clarify, the notice requirements in the code, you do have to notice the association itself, but the notice requirements in the code require 500 foot from the project boundary.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Would
All
that
right,
reach
so
them?
if this was to take a move forward today, and it goes back before we have a public meeting with the residents, does it come back before the commission again?
No.
All right, I'm not comfortable with that.
No.
So, Mr.
Yeah,
Chairman?
site plans are I apologize, they're administratively approved.
Commissioner Moore?
Thank you. So, we put conditions on conditional use all the time, right? Just like there's conditions now. So there was conditions offered of no access on what road again?
It was nature trail, limited to
Trail.
emergency access only.
Okay.
And it's going to be gated.
Okay, so now we're hearing about La Madeira,
La Madeira.
La Madeira, thank you. Okay, like Madeira Beach, Madeira, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, La Madeira, okay. Phonetically, it's how it sounds, right? And La Madeira. What other, we had another concern about answering the question of the potential for HUD housing, too. So there's two possible conditions.
What is HUD housing? Like, in what way what do you mean by that?
I don't mean anything. That's the question that was asked.
What do they mean by HUD housing?
You know?
I would assume that they're talking about Section 8 housing under.
Do they build Section 8 housing anymore like that?
Wait,
I don't think so.
You got to control.
Subsection 8 vouchers.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if you know what that means anymore either, so rules have changed with those organizations.
But those are questions that were asked, so that's why I brought it up.
I will
They
get you a
don't
clear.
build them like they
So-
used to.
There's a little too much going on here, so let me just continue. So those are conditions that could be imposed with conditional use. I think there's still a lot of questions to answer. I would move for continue until this can be answered and those brought back and forth for us.
I'm going to back that up, but I want to finish the public comment, I think, first.
Yes.
I'm not comfortable with this whole procedure not coming back to you people. And as far as this nice lady over here, if she doesn't know what low income is or HUD housing is, I don't know what you're doing up there.
I do know what it is. I don't think it's what you think it is. It's not, the housing is not done like it was in the past. I sit on a national committee that deals with this kind of housing, so I do know what it is.
Well, then if you can deal with this kind of housing, you can understand what we're upset about. You can't put that kind of housing in a community like this. My place where I live is senior citizens. We're used to a quiet place to live.
Yeah, over her 3
Yeah,
minutes.
wait, guys, so there was a motion made to continue this until some of these things can be looked at. I had a second over here.
I will second, but I want to let the public comment finish.
Yeah.
Right. I think you need to finish your
Yeah.
public comment, and
Right.
then you can,
Then take
then
a
you
motion
then
on
you
that.
can continue.
I don't see
Okay,
anybody
if
else
you
lined
do
up,
that, I want my development to be notified. My board of directors knows nothing about this. Nothing about anybody coming through La Madeira with all that traffic. I don't know where you're going to put all this traffic. I don't know where all the sewage is going to go because it's costing me $100 more on my taxes because we took the golf course out so we wouldn't have flooding. You're going to have flooding?
Yeah, ma'am,
You're in a
that's why we-
flood zone as it is.
That's why we're asked, let me just help you a little bit. When you brought that concern up and somebody else did, that's why we're asking for a continuance so that can be looked into.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
But we need the votes to have a continuance, so.
Nobody else to speak?
See if there's is there anybody else that hasn't spoken that wishes to speak? Then you can close public
Okay.
comment. Oh, we got one coming forward?
I don't know. Please state your name and address, and if you've been sworn.
Stella Tunzos. I live at 11534 Fox Run.
Have you
I
been
wasn't sworn in.
Okay.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you are about to give is the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you.
First of all, I wanted to know that I didn't even know anything about this until a few nights ago when I went on Nextdoor and Sandy Mullins had posted a thread. I've been living in Bear Creek for about 10 years. My husband and I bought it in '04, and we used it as an investment property until we moved to Florida and we moved into the home. From what I understand from what Sandy has said, Jim Dial of New Vision Community told Sandy Mullins that he plans to develop a low-income HUD housing using $2 million of his own money and approximately $8 million of federal and state money for HUD housing. He plans on selling the tax credits to a bank or an insurance company. If you change the land use today, it's too late for the residents of Bear Creek to do anything. That's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? Okay, we'll close public comment.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to move to continue to the next meeting in Newport Richey.
You've already got that motion.
Got the motion?
Already got that motion in a second.
That's fine.
So I made the motion. The things I wanted to get looked at are the things that were brought up, the La Madeira and the possible HUD housing, so those questions could be answered.
And part before the continuance happens, I want to make sure we do have a meeting with the Bear Creek residents and the Timber Oak residents.
You want that added to the motion? give Ms. Wilhite
Mr. Chair,
a chance.
are you also interested in exploring the buffer wall or not? Because if so, staff needs to craft that condition.
It doesn't have a buffer wall in there.
Well, there's no, as Mr.
No
Hernandez said
condition
earlier,
for
there's
it.
no condition in there currently about enhanced buffering or a wall or
had a
anything.
chance to even rebut, and we're suggesting
Okay.
conditions about 12-foot walls to wall in a community. Last time I checked, multifamily was a compatible use and coexists all over the nation with single-family. The whole affordability aspect of it, you need a range of housing. You have teachers, law enforcement, your own employees. All that being said, so before we start walling in those people, we don't even know who those people are, I have heard that you want a continuance. We can agree to a continuance till November 27th in Dade City. But mind you that we don't have a development plan. This may never develop as multifamily. It very well could develop as commercial. And La Madeira is a signalized intersection. Nature Trail is not. That's why your condition relative to emergency access on Nature Trail that's why that was considered. So we're okay with continuing it, but we're going to be having a conversation about what I just said. Should you have multifamily near single family? To the south of this is multifamily, MF2. The height requirement for C2, you can have 60 feet in height. MF2, which this is conditioned to, is 45 feet in height. The traffic is much, much less for a multifamily versus a C2 use. So we're okay with continuing it so that more information can get out, but at the end of the day, we can't discuss a development plan that talks about dumpsters and fire code and drainage and all those things that the people want to hear about. We can't have that discussion. We don't have a development plan. So what we've done in the past, I think it's absolutely correct that the neighborhoods are concerned and want to hear about what is going on, is you condition it, because this is a zoning level use issue right now, you condition it so, just like we did on US 19, alternate 19 and US 19, we had the same issue, people were concerned. We conditioned it that before we can submit a preliminary plan, we have to have a neighborhood meeting. And we can have the condition that it includes both Bear Creek and Timber Oaks, and you put it on, and so that we actually can come to them with a plan. Because I've had meetings at the rezoning level, lots of neighborhood meetings, and I go there and we get yelled at because we don't have a plan. And then they say we're just representing things, we're not giving them information, we're trying to hide things, but we don't have a plan to show them and go over the things that they're most interested in. We've increased our buffer. The required buffer to the south is a type A buffer. We've agreed to type B buffer requirements, which I can run through those, what they are. It's a 80% opacity requirement. You have to achieve 6 feet in installation. You can do it by fencing. You can do it by berm and landscaping. There's different ways to meet that 80% opacity. You wrote your code to address compatibility and buffering. So again, we're happy. We need to continue. We can't continue it past November 27th. If you'd like more time, we can continue it to the next meeting. But beyond that, you only have one meeting in November, and it's in Dade City. So
I'm fine with the November meeting.
Mr. Chairman, if we have it in Dade
You wanna
City,
change?
these people aren't going to be able to make it.
Do what?
If we have a meeting in Dade City, these people aren't going to make it there. And they shouldn't be that burden. It should be over
you've heard
here.
all of their concerns, Commissioner. They just had a full public hearing.
I've heard the concerns, and from what the current concerns I'm hearing, and when we talked about this, the concerns were all about Bear Creek, how to protect that. Hadn't heard anything from anybody from Timber Oaks, and I guess because they hadn't heard about it. So as we talked, they have affordable housing on that other side. It's all access there. There's a shopping mall on the other side. There's a light there. I figured that'd be okay, but clearly, hearing from the Timber Oaks residents, that does change it. I will tell you the inconsistency from what we're told about how this gentleman doesn't plan to do HUD housing, hearing from the last speaker talk about how there was a HUD housing proposal where he's going to get financing through tax credit for that, is exactly what neither groups want to see. So, I mean, it's changed quite a bit.
Housing, there's HUD housing. Yes, is there going to be an application for tax credits, but that's not HUD housing. That's affordable housing. So
The result is the same as far as they're thinking.
I understand that they don't want affordable housing. I get that loud and clear, that apparently those people can't live by them. So I get it. But again, I have affordable housing near my neighborhood.
You need to control the crowd. Yeah.
You've had a full public hearing. The applicant deserves some kind of consideration here. We're agreeing to a continuance so that we can, I guess, talk with your staff about the nuances of HUD housing versus low income versus affordable and see if there's any condition that can be had. I'm not even sure that's quite legal to discriminate against a certain type of housing, but I'm glad to continue it for a month and we do that. It's just not fair to the applicant when we meet the requirements, we're compatible, we are not developing something. There's C2s approved today. You could have a racetrack, you could have a fast food restaurant, you could have all of those things that have more intensity. It's, at some point, it's not fair, but I'm willing to do a continuance, but you've had a full public hearing, and so you have all of the issues.
It's just that with the public hearing, I'm clearly seeing resistance from both neighborhoods loud and clear. If you came with that other densities, whether it be the gas station or the commercial, they don't seem to have a problem with that. Well, they could. They
wouldn't have to be here.
And they wouldn't even be here in front of us, and you'd just be going through that process to another committee. But if it's going to go through us, we're here to see if it's going to be adversely affecting their neighborhoods. And if they're here in the voices that they're saying and the concerns they're saying, I think it's valid. And I think it's valid that the way we set up our board meetings is we do have the meeting over here, not over in Dade City.
Well, then,
When's the next meeting over here?
January.
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 Commissioners, you set your meeting schedule. It's just not fair to the applicant. You set your meeting schedule, you have no meetings in December. You have no meetings over here until January. So,
Please be quiet in the audience. Staff have a suggestion?
I think the issue's before the board. I mean, that you do not have a meeting in Newport Richey until January. You have one meeting in December, and it's in Dade City, one meeting in November, and it's in Dade City.
Like I said, I am okay with November.
Okay.
It gives them extra time. They're going above and beyond, really.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's where I
Okay.
am.
That's, you can keep your motion as it is and continue in November? Or who made the motion now?
He made the initial
Yeah,
motion.
back and forth.
That motion was on the floor.
Okay.
So let's,
Motion and a second.
So we have 2 meetings in a row in Dade City.
It's a secret.
They're the first meeting of the month.
Oh,
And
it's
you only
first
have
meeting of
one
the year.
meeting
That's the way
each
it
of those
falls.
It
months.
was the last one of the year and then the first one of the year. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've asked to fix that in the past, by the way.
We
We
need to-
do all the December meetings in Dade City, right? No,
No.
here. We used to do all the December meetings here and all the November meetings there. So why is the December meeting
Because
in
you
Dade
only
City?
scheduled one meeting in both places. Or
So
one
there
meeting
should be
for
one here and
November
one
and
there.
one meeting for
Yeah.
December.
So let me ask you, can we,
It's a whole year.
we still have a couple months till December. Can't we change that December meeting to here? There's plenty of time for public notice.
I think it's a good
Well,
idea.
can I make a suggestion?
So it depends
help
on
a
what the
lot of
items
people.
are.
Well, you also have in the past set special meetings,
Right.
which might be easier than trying to adjust the entire board calendar just because of this one.
But why are they both, what am I, my 8th year here. Always, the November meetings have been in Newport Richey. I'm sorry, the November meetings have been in Dade City, and December meetings have been in Newport Richey, which I've never really understood. It might have to do with the swearing in.
It does.
So if we swear you guys in November, why can't that December meeting be over here? What's precluding that besides a public notice?
I honestly do not know what applications have been noticed for December.
The board approved the public hearing calendar
Well, we messed up.
so, I mean, that,
And
But
we,
I
the
do- I
board
do-
can change it.
I do suspect there probably are some land use hearings that are already noticed for December.
Yeah.
So that's why I said, maybe you should just have a special
Special meeting.
meeting for this one zoning in Newport Richey.
If you want to have it here, yeah.
You can do that.
Okay, can we look at a
Well-
calendar and can we do that toward the end of November? I mean,
Do we have a workshop in,
What about December 4th?
yeah, we could do it on the same
Dan.
day as a workshop, maybe? if we have
That's
one?
showing up as in Newport Richey.
Workshop that day here in Newport Richey.
Right.
Okay, let's do it then.
Would that be
I'm fine
December
with that.
Is
4th?
that, will that,
December 4th.
I'm fine.
December 4th?
1 second, 1 second.
Yeah, I mean, we can make that work.
Great.
1:30?
Okay, so the
It's
motion.
a public hearing,
No,
so
why don't we do it at, let me get,
1:30.
why can't we do it at 10 a.m. and then first thing in the morning?
can we do a public hearing?
Because then everyone, what's the workshop on? Do we have other people coming in for the workshop?
Well,
That's not a
we're,
problem.
we're still working on the information for the workshop.
We know what it is.
That-
So
that's-
let's do it at
Also,
10
we can
a.m.
have this item,
we can have this item first thing at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
okay.
And then,
Sweet.
that way, if we ended up not needing a workshop, then you only have this one meeting.
so,
So
I
what,
would change
the,
my
mo-
motion to continue this to December 4th at 10 a.m. time certain.
Second.
all right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We will
Opposed, like
work with
sign?
your
Okay.
staff to renotice so that people will get notice of that date as well.
10 a.m.
Okay,
December 4th,
Newport Richey.
Newport Richey.
for Richie, all right. Okay, yeah, pass. You hear that? Oh, you can't talk, you can't talk from the audience.
So we do have proof of P17 Tampa Bay Times, September 21st, 2018.
Good afternoon, Ainsley Caldwell, Public Works. This is a country club estate, PVAS number 3261. On July 10th, the board directed us to proceed with this as a board-initiated project. There are 16 streets within this project. They are county maintained and paved. The total estimated project cost is $1.65 million. The maximum cost per ERU is $4,600. The discounted amount is $327,200. And the maximum cost per ERU after the discount is $3,700. This is the location map. US 19 is off to the left, and you have Dipaola and Country Club Close Drive. And just a couple photographs to show what the condition is like. College Hill and Duke Drives. Country Club Drive. Social and Princeton Drive. And Vassar Court. Any comments, any questions, sorry?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
You know, we've been working in this neighborhood for a long time, and one of the things I want to make sure we do is get the drainage right before we actually did the paving. I had the discussion last time as moving it forward about doing board-initiated, and when I saw the numbers come back for the full-depth reclamation, I thought it was a good number, I mean, a big number. And I asked you guys, did you really think it needed the full-depth reclamation? Now, some of the low parts of the roads, I think is very critical to do it that way. Do you need to do every single road full-depth reclamation? And the reason I'm asking this question, and Commissioner Starkey, I was heading down in the Holiday area, and I got a call the other day from one of the past Civic Association presidents from Gulf Trace. He asked me to go look at a couple of different things, so one of them was driving the roads. When I looked at the roads down there, I looked at the one road that we had actually done, and we had repaved it with the chip seal and whatever.
Chip seal?
Oh, however we did it, we just redid the road. The other roads that I looked at and drove around, they were like 30 years old. Some of them had cracks about, maybe an inch to a half-inch wide. But the base seemed to be pretty good. And we approved doing full-depth reclamation, which I wanted Branford, and I don't know if Branford had reached out to him as yet, to go through. And if Branford, you want to talk to that, that's fine. But I don't want to make the mistake of overdoing these roads, unless I really absolutely need to do full depth reclamation. And one of the comments you had made was you didn't think the base was really good enough or strong enough.
Right.
So before we do that, I want to make sure that you're going to be 100% certain that this does need to be the full depth reclamation.
We had gone back through, Branford and I went through, and we drove the roads, and we came to the conclusion, yes, that we need to do full depth reclamation. We can do less work, but in terms of the longevity of the road, you're compromising that. So we have looked at that, and yet also asked us to look at reducing the costs. And the intersection of Dippaola and 19, that is, can be funded through our county safety funds because there's improvement at that intersection. So that money is not included in the amount that would be assessed by the, for the project. The residents will not be paying that portion.
Has it already been factored in, or is it going to be?
It has been subtracted.
It's going to be lowered down further?
No, it's already done,
It's
sir.
already done, okay.
Yeah, you can tell that road's pretty bad shape.
Oh, believe me, these roads are in terrible shape, no question about it.
And it needs to be done.
Yeah,
Okay?
okay, thank you.
Anything, any other questions?
You have 7 people signed up.
Oh, it's a public hearing, and
We do have 7 people signed up. The order is Danny Halterman, David Meyer, Timothy Costello, or maybe Castillo. Thank you. Tracy Gully. Okay, thank you. And then there's more after that. Thank you.
okay. Please state your name, address, and if you've been sworn.
I'm Danny Haldeman. I live at 7113 Country Club Drive, Hudson, 34667, and I haven't been sworn in.
It doesn't matter. This is not one of the quasi judicial
Okay.
hearings. You don't need to be sworn for these.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Basically, we tried to get this done years ago, and we were told, no, we had to get it done because it wasn't a county road. And then, that was years ago, because I've been there since '91. Now, the county's come through. I don't have the money for that. I've got health issues. My wife has health issues. We have a lot of other poor people in there who have health issues. We don't have the money. It's just not there. We have retirees, and then on top of that, what are you going to do about the speeders? We got people doing 60, 70, 80 miles an hour in there now. I've had motorcycles go down through there. If they weren't doing 80, they weren't doing a dime. I've had cars go down through there, 60, 70 mile an hour. And they do this on a regular basis, but not enough so that the cops can catch them at it. And if you straighten out the roads, they're just going to get faster. I've had people in the back that are friends of mine who've complained because they're out there. And in one of your picture right there, you look at the road, you'll see that there's black tire marks on it. Somebody's been spinning. Somebody's been racing on it. You put a new road in there, you put these new roads down there, we're just going to have a bunch more hot rods. We've already had people killed. My next door neighbor was hit by a car on Country Club Drive. We don't have sidewalks. 30 mile an hour is what they got it posted at, but they come down through there at 60, 70, and 80. And we can't afford it. A lot of people in there just don't have the money. I'm a disabled vet. We're getting by. You know, I've raised my grandkids. I had to raise my own kids, then I had to raise my grandkids. And that's why I'm in the hole. I haven't got any money. And frankly, if you can't slow the traffic down one way, you have to slow them down somehow. I mean, we've had people killed in there because of reckless. Straighten out the roads, we're going to have more of it, and we'll have more deaths.
Mr. Chair, after we have all the public comment, we will have Branford explain how the income grants work for road reconstruction. So
Okay,
hang on 1 second, because
As it stands now, if I have to start paying $200 or $300 or so every month.
No, it's not every month, no, sir.
Okay.
It's an annual, it's an annual fee.
Yeah. I thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah.
All right, David?
He pretty much said exactly what I was saying.
State your name.
David Meyer,
And your address.
7110 Country Club Drive.
Okay.
Oh, and I haven't been sworn in.
It's okay, you don't need to.
And he pretty much said what I was going to say, but as far as, being retired and everything else, I mean, we asked for the speed limit to be dropped down from 30 to 25 or a little lower. We got screwed. We asked for speed bumps. We got screwed. So, and then y'all throw this $4,000 bill on us just because you're going to pave the road. Don't work. You don't want to work with us, and we can't work with y'all as far as the $4,000. I'm a retired meat cutter, and money only goes so far. My health isn't real good either, so y'all make the decision. But I'm gonna tell you, it's not a good one if y'all pass this thing. Because we do need some kind of assistance.
Okay. Next.
Hello. My name is Tracy Galiotto, Galioto. I have my two little girls here who've been waiting very patiently to be heard today.
You guys have been very good.
Yeah, they've
Your address
actually-
again?
What's your address
They're
again?
good in public, let's just say that. They're homeschooled, and this is part of our lesson today. So my
State your
hus-
address again.
7109 Country Club Drive.
Okay.
My husband has lived there all of his life since the house was built in 1972. I took it over for him as mom. So back in the day, the community was wonderful there. I've seen pictures. Even when I moved in with him, it was great then. The community has since gone downhill. There's a lot of homeless in the area, a lot of abandoned houses in there on our street in that community there. We jokingly call it Skid Row between 52 and our complex there right at Country Club Drive, because all the homeless line up there and the two homeless communities in between us. I don't take my girls down the road anymore because of all the needles on the road. We can't go riding the bikes. So a few years back, we asked for speed bumps to be put in because you've heard the issues with the speeders and everything. I'm nervous, I'm sorry.
All right, you're okay.
The
You're doing
speeders go
fine.
in there. And they told us no. They put a speeding machine up and told us they weren't going fast enough to justify speed bumps. Well, I can tell you otherwise. So they see the speed machine, they slow down. They don't, go fast when the speed machine's there, but when the speed machine is there, they fly. So on Country Club Drive is where we live. The road is not that bad, the main drive. It really does not need done. There are some side roads that are bad, and where they do find the flooding areas, mainly in the intersections right there, but the main road is not that bad and does not need done. It is fine. In front of my house, which is near more the entrance, until the turn is where they call the speedway, where they race. That's the main road there. It does not need done. It is a $4,433 out of our, for the next 10 years. So that's not small cash. You may say it's a couple $100 a year or whatever, 300, whatever. They wrote it out to be $372. We don't qualify for low-income help, so we can't ask for that as some people can. And another thing, most of those houses, I would say 70% of those houses are renters in that community as well. So then you're going to have to get all those renters to the people who own those houses to pay that as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. State your name and address.
My name is Timothy Castillo. My address is 12906 Spring Avenue. I apologize, I'm a nervous speaker.
It's all right.
I am against the proposed project involving the public roadways at Country Club Estates. It is being forced upon us homeowners. We were given no say in the matter. In addition, there's a very real threat that we could lose our homes if we do not pay this lien. The letter from the Public Works Department states, quote, "Failure to pay any final assessment could result in the loss of the property in the assessment." I have driven these roads for 3 years. So have school buses, delivery drivers, realtors, and a bevy of other people. What portion of the proposed $1.6 million project are they being assessed? As Chief Project Manager Ainsley Caldwell informed us during the public workshop last month, we cannot even seek aid from grants or other programs simply because the Board of Commissioners initiated this project. As of 2017, the published salary for a Pasco County Commissioner was $88,795 a year. My neighbors and I make substantially less than that. Since our situations differ so much, I would like to share a bit about myself in hopes of humanizing the people that you are proposing to assess this lien upon. I am 35 years old, single, and live alone. I am the youngest of 3 children in a proud military family. I began working in high school, worked through college, and graduated magna cum laude. At the age of 23, I had a good salary, a loving partner, and a comfortable life. Just before my 24th birthday, I began having severe health issues and was subsequently diagnosed with a psychological disorder that changed my life. I lost my job. My partner left me, and I moved in with my mother because I needed constant care at the time. According to my doctors, I would probably never work again. And the best possibility was that I would live in a group home for the rest of my life, which was not expected to be very long. 11 years later, and I now own a home. I worked part-time for 2 years, and I'm very well managed through medication and therapy. I have accomplished what I was told I would not, and I am recovering from a catastrophic situation. I'm sorry.
You're doing great.
My home is as important in my recovery as medication and therapy. It is the physical realization of my success and motivates me to keep pushing towards full functional recovery. I live off of income from Social Security disability, which totals less than $13,000 a year. This lien represents a threat that I may have no way of resolving, one that may even result in my house being taken from me. I asked the board, if you were disabled, if you lived alone and you supported yourself on $13,000 a year, how would you feel if you received a letter demanding money you didn't have for public infrastructure work that you did not request and threatening to take your property if you didn't pay it? Why don't we have a say?
Thank you for your comments.
The remaining people who have signed up, James Fritz, Jake Simon, and Mary Lou Simon.
I'm all for the paving. I don't want to see anybody have any financial hardships of it. But when we put 5-gallon buckets in the potholes and the rain comes, they float away and you knock the front end out of your car. So that's not a way to fix a pothole. I've been in the neighborhood for 25 years. The neighborhood was great. We're coming back up with the help of Pasco County with their code. We're getting back in shape where we should be. Like I say, I don't want to see any hardship to anybody who can't afford it, but I think the project really needs to go forward.
Sir, I do need your name and address for the record.
James Fritz, 7400 University Drive.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Simon?
They've got a handheld or not?
Yes, my name is Jake Simon, and I hate to say it, but it's 12810 Vassar Court. There you go, Vassar. Anyway, I believe we need this done. I know it's a lot of money. I've been handicapped now for what, about 2.5 years, 3 years? But we've been there 30 years, and nothing has ever been done to that road. It just sits there and get badder and badder. It feels like when you go down our one main thing that we use, it's like going on a Mickey Mouse ride. Your car's bouncing and everything else. It needs done. I know it's a lot of money, but when you figure how much it is per year, it's not all that bad. But the one question I do have, and like somebody brought up renters, why in the heck can't people that don't have the homestead thing pay less and have them renters that are making money off their property, pay more for their taxes or more for this? That's all I've got. You want to say? Go ahead.
Mary Lou Simon?
I'm Mary Lou Simon, 12810 Vassar Court. And I want to thank you all for the time that you have dedicated yourself on this road project. It will benefit many. And I just wanted you to know that I called today to get one road in that area. It had 4 big potholes. So, and like my husband said, we've lived there, actually it's been 34 years since we've lived there, and there's been nothing that's been done. So I would appreciate it if you would approve it. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's everybody who is signed up in advance. Anyone else who wants to speak, if you could go ahead and come forward, state your name and address, and then make a line behind this lady. Thank you.
My name's Susan DeLoche. I live 64240 Vet Drive. I own homes in country club estates, which I do rent out. The gentleman had addressed that. There is some flooding issues in there. I'm concerned about the drainage. I also rent through the VAST program, which is the Disabled Veterans. I do it at a lower rate. I do pay the taxes and insurance on it. I am willing to give up 1 year's rent on all of these homes, because if you took the $4,600, my taxes and insurance, that's what these veterans are paying. So I will be out the income for the year I own 11 rental homes. I do a background check, income verification, and they're screened through the VAST program. It is a much needed thing. I do want the people in the community to know that I do screen everyone that goes in there. But in order to get this done, I am giving up the income for the year for the veterans.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Anita Castriota from Castriota Chevrolet at 12930 US Highway 19, and we have 2 small parcels that butt Country Club Estates Drive.
Your address?
Pardon me?
Need your address? Oh, okay.
I'm not sure if this is the right time to talk about it, but the whole project, and these people have concerns that are well established. Walmart has bought 2 houses that they're tearing down and putting a drive-through from their north side, and it's going to be going to this Diapolo Drive where a light is going to be. And nobody's talking about that. So you're talking about a lot of traffic coming through this neighborhood. You're assessing Castriota Chevrolet at 2 lots, and we don't have access to that road, but I'm going to want it because I'm paying the assessment to use it. So you need to maybe rethink this whole project and how it's affecting people. There are a lot of people here that can't afford this. The woman with the children that talked about the needles is correct. We pick needles out of our grass where they throw them over the fence every week. We all know about the homeless problem. We all know about everything, but I would like to see you spend more money on our side of the county like you do in Wesley Chapel for sports fields and giving tax abatements and things to companies to come in and put in big businesses and hotels and things where it actually increases our standard of living other than giving Walmart a pass-through. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I was saying hi.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Tom Castriota, Castriota Chevrolet, 12930 US Highway 19. And again, I understand the conflict that the board's going to have to face because you have residents that cannot afford this road repair. I realize the roads back there need repaired, but it's also about affordability. But back to kind of reiterate Anita's comment, I really believe what's driving this is Walmart having a pass-through because Beacon Woods, when Walmart came in years ago, wouldn't allow that traffic to come through Beacon Woods. So now Walmart has bought property that's been given a right-of-way, and it's on the map if the planners want to put the map up, that the commissioners will see that the Walmart will have the northern access to go into the into this residence is a public road, it's a county road, that the residents are going to pay for now if this is passed, and Walmart's customers are going to utilize it so they don't have to go through Beacon Woods. Thank you very much.
Go ahead and come forward. Anyone else who wants to speak about P17, please come forward and get in line. Thank you.
Hi, Clarice Saporito, 12703 Capitol Drive in Hudson. Our streets are deplorable. Our streets flood. I have blown up the engine on my car. That's how bad our streets are. The potholes are like sinkholes. I don't know if there's a more affordable way for people to do this, as well as for the pass-through to Walmart. Presently, if you want to leave my development to go to Walmart, you have to make a right, go across all the traffic, make a U-turn, go down the street south, then you have to go across again, so we have to cross the traffic 2 times. There used to be an outlet mall where Walmart is now, and at that time, there was a street that went to the outlet mall. The outlet mall has been gone for years. When Walmart came, they walled us out, and they put up a fence, and they said they didn't want us in there. I've spoken to the manager. He feels like we have shoplifters and the dregs of society live in our neighborhood. So they put a little wall, and now they put a big wall, like we're the worst of the worst. And I think most of us, myself included, we shop at Walmart. And I don't want to kill myself making a right, making a U-turn, making a left to go into Walmart, when all I have to do is drive down to Paula and make a left on a street that used to be there. The area is there. All they have to do is let us go on the street that used to be there. And I hope there's a way you can make this more affordable, paving the streets. They're ridiculous. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there anyone else to speak to this matter?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Can I bring up Mr. Fritz? He's the Civic Association Director. I just want to ask him one question. Jim, if you would. Jim, one of the things that come up, and again, I appreciate your service as a Civic Association Director. He's continually having meetings. We've gone out there many times. We've addressed these issues. At those meetings, I will tell you the support for this paving assessment is very strong. But the question I want to ask you, and I kind of was grilling my staff at the start of this a little bit, was do we really need to do the full depth reclamation? As the young lady said, Country Club Estates, driving down that road after 30 years is still in pretty good shape. I mean, got a couple of cracks here and there, it's not bad. That tells...
Are pretty good.
The high roads are pretty good, right?
But they need resurface.
Oh, no, they absolutely do. Don't get me wrong. What I'm trying to do is establish whether I need to do everything in full depth reclamation or not. It's when they go down 8 to 12 inches, put cement base on it, et cetera. I mean, it's a great process. Well, all the high roads around it are in decent shape. And after 30 years, if that's all the where they've shown, to me, I'm going to say I think that base is in pretty good shape. And I think we're going to be okay with milling it, and then putting down a good thick coat of asphalt and go. But in the low areas, have they always been bad, or is it just?
They've gotten worse throughout time. They were the first ones to get worse. We have any of the low-lying areas, but when you get up top of the hill by the clubhouse, Spring Country Club, the pole is bad anyway because it's like a river down through there. All them, yes, but I would suggest if we put this money into it, and we gotta put out, at least let them core drill and see what kind of base we got underneath it. On my street's great, there's no problem with it. But my neighbor said it's been about 30 years since they did it before, and get 30 years out of it, that's great. The low-lying areas, when you do that cementatious base to it, it'll really hold up.
Yeah.
And get the water run off, though.
Okay.
That's going to be better for that road.
I agree. And Ainsley and Brent, if you'd come up, I'm going to talk to you a little bit more. But thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm driving down these roads, and they've probably been, the lower section been bad for over 10 years anyway, so maybe they lasted only 20 at the lower sections. The higher roads are in good shape. I would like us to be able to go out and go do it in a way where we can take the high roads and not have to do the full depth, take all the low areas, fix all the drainage, and do the project. I think you can do it a lot cheaper than you've got right now.
Commissioner, at the last meeting, you mentioned that we should take a look at it. We went out, we took a look at it. In terms of longevity of the road, if we go to full depth reclamation, we're talking about 25 or more years. If you're talking about just milling and paving, we may go down to 7 years. So in terms of our professional opinion, this is what is recommended, because we did take a second look at it.
I don't know, and to tell you what, I don't mind if a board member wants to go take a look at this, but I will tell you, like the high roads that are there, they're in good shape. I mean, there's cracks, et cetera. They show they're 30 years old. They need to be done, no question about it. But it's the lower areas where the biggest potholes are, where the biggest bumps are, that we spend a ton of fortune, that we need the full depth. I'm not arguing that. But I'm just going to say the higher roads, I don't think they're any different than looking at Gulf Trace to what's there. And if it takes boring tests to go a little bit deeper to go look at it, I think we could save the residents a lot of money if we actually found that to be true. So I want to go take an extra step to go look at it to see if we can bring that cost down.
Branford Atumwa, Director of Public Works. Commissioners, we did take a look at the road, and I think, as you know, the policy in the department is to do the job right. We think this is what we need to do so that you have the maximum life of the road. If we do anything differently, the life is going to be reduced, and we could be coming back again maybe 10, 7 years later to maybe do it again. So the base is failed in many, many places. You can't see them, but just by looking at the asphalt performance, it shows that we need to fix the base through FDR to really fix it the way that it should be fixed.
Okay. All right. Well, I can't grill them any harder.
You tried. You really tried. But I have a question for
sure.
you. I know that because I've dealt with this with my residents in the Holiday area. What are the discounts available to people of lower income?
So I'll ask Ainsley to explain that, because he does this and he's explained it many times.
And to the left, to the tall gentleman there, please listen, because he's going to tell you about how it's going to help you.
Sir, I'm aware of the SHIP program and how it doesn't affect any of our residents, because our homes were built in the 60s and 70s. We have nothing available to us, as he explained the Public Works Department.
Okay, go ahead and.
There are a number of restrictions on the SHIP program. There's an income requirement in terms of a single family being under the median income, 50% of the median income, and you have the individuals, what amount their income would be. In terms of a household where there's a senior over 62 years old, there's also another set of guidelines. There's also the eligibility of houses based on the years they were built, and the cutoff is 1994. And there's also the value if it exceeds
Okay, so
$160,000.
what do you mean by the cutoff 94? They had to be built before 94 or after 94?
If it's a mobile home, it's not only eligible if it is owned, sorry?
It's regular homes.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's just reading the rules.
Just reading the rules. All right. Let me start from the beginning because you get a better picture. I was just doing some snippets. Any type of home is eligible for the program, including condos and townhomes. The mobile and manufactured homes, only the tax on the property is eligible. Mobile homes are only eligible if the land is owned and was built on after 1994.
Because
so
of the
that,
decreasing value of the mobile home.
Right.
There's no mobile homes.
So go on.
So,
What about a regular house?
And the value cannot exceed $160,000 as per the county property appraisers. Your property must not have 75% of debt value to it. You can't have borrowed money more exceeding 75% of it. You can't have a debt, second mortgage or whatever the case may be.
Okay, but if you don't have a second mortgage and your home was built before 1994, you're okay.
Right, but in 1994
it's the mobile
applies
home
to the
that's
mobile
before
home.
94.
Right, that's correct.
Is this a mobile home community?
No.
No. So some of these residents, I would think, would qualify for this.
That's correct.
So we need
But
to make sure we're
until
getting them all the
they
help.
until they do their individual application with community development, we don't run that program but we provide the flyer in all the letters we send out.
Okay, on the Walmart access, I think I might have been on the school board and on the LPA when you guys were discussing that, because I remember the Walmart and the access points being discussed a long time ago. I don't know why I would have been here. Otherwise, what's the story around those Walmart access?
All right, so here's the story with the Walmart access. Many years ago, when Beacon Woods, a public hearing was held with the county commission, they didn't want Walmart to have access with a light going into Walmart. So the Beacon Woods residents weren't supposed to be able to take a right to come in, right to come out. They didn't want the traffic on Beacon Woods Drive. There was another condition on the other end of it over DePolo where the people from Country Club Estates could come back and forth. There was a condition that prevented that opening from happening. When Walmart bought the property, they bought the 2 lots. When they bought the 2 lots, they tore the houses down. That was going to be their access. With all these conditions that were coming out, they ended up not connecting. Partly from that condition that was back from a long time ago, that they couldn't do that connection. Walmart did not want to even allow that Country Club Estates action because they didn't want to have the cross-traffic from Country Club Estates running through their development out to Beacon Woods Drive to get out there. Only that we're now going to allow, through this new plan, with a rotary at Beacon Woods Drive where people can come in and out of Beacon Woods Drive to get in there, and a light now going to be paid for by FDOT at DePolo and US 19. With those things happening, it freed up for that connection for DePolo to happen as well. At DePolo, at the start of it, part of the project, as mentioned earlier, part of it's going to be paid for with the safety improvement with the light at 19. So that's kind of like where that's all happened. It hasn't been from Walmart generating it back. It's been more with, my dealing with residents in Beacon Woods where they have to go out 19, come back over, and seeing Country Club Estates people where they got to go out, take the U-turn, come back in, then they got to go back out, and then go right and right to get back in. It didn't make sense to have all our residents going on US 19, the most dangerous highway, to go back and forth.
That's
So
why
now
you need connectivity.
And now we're getting that, and that's part of this here.
Perfect example.
So let me be clear. So these homes that are built before 1994, they do qualify for this SHIP program?
The homes and not the mobile homes.
Okay, the homes, and they're all regular homes. So they do qualify. And what does that actually give them? Is that debt relief for making these payments?
Basically, what happened is that at the end of the assessment, the paving project, the final assessment is done, and then the resident would apply and provide whatever documentation, and to determine how much, towards the repayment of the assessment will be made.
And about what a single family would be? If a single person
That
home?
is not include, I think there's a limit.
Is it under like 24 grand?
Discount. It's a further discount, I believe.
The most that is available to you is $15,000.
15,000.
15,000.
Per home?
Well, the thing's only for 45, so.
That's a good discount.
No, the assistant is 15,000 max.
Yeah.
And the assessment is 3,700.
Yeah, so you're saying that covers that?
So it
Yes.
covers it.
So
Potentially.
that's a good
Yes.
discount. Yeah.
All right, so they don't have to pay it if they fall into that program.
It's really a loan over an extended period.
It's like a 0% loan is what it is.
I-
So no one's going to lose
They
their
don't say the
home.
interest rate.
No one's going to lose their home as this goes on.
They're on the ad valorem tax rolls. If it doesn't get paid,
Well,
that's the way you assess them.
but under the SHIP program, what does the SHIP program do to keep them from losing their home? How does it work?
It pays the assessment on the interim, but they still have to pay back the assessment sometime later.
Sometime later. So
Sometime
if they
later.
pass away, if they sell the home. I mean, those are the two things.
Sometime later, yes.
If you sell the home.
He sells the home or he passes away.
Your home pays for it.
Exactly, and if the road's in better shape, the home's in better shape. Okay. I'm going to say.
It's going to increase the value of those homes. right?
Yes. So, being that I have done everything I can, looking at staff, working as hard as I can to find out if we really need to do these roads, and if you do change your mind out there, we'll be welcomely received. But being that we're doing full depth reclamation, I want to stretch this term out, as we done with the previous one, to the 15-year term, and also bring the interest rate down to the 3.25, as we've done with the previous one. That was done full depth. That'll be a motion to approve.
Okay, have a motion.
Maybe tell them what the monthly amount would be if you do it.
I'll second that.
I'm not sure how the monthly number would come out.
So you're saying 15 years?
15 years.
Repayment period, and
At-
what interest rate?
At 3.25.
3.25.
Again, we're taking less money out of the,
You
we're
just-
taking money out of the kitty to
Oh, yeah.
pave other roads.
Here at
And you just adopted a rate resolution to apply the prime rate to PVAS programs.
5.25%.
5.25%.
But because this was done before the new rate, we were still at the old rate.
I have a constituent who's upset because they're 41st on the list. I mean, and there's just not money to fund these road projects. It's a problem, but I see that there are, you know, some heart-wrenching stories here, and so I'm willing to do this, but I think it's bad policy. But here we are.
Okay.
Nope, sorry.
No questions from the audience.
We can't, I mean, these roads are falling apart. They're going to have car repairs, they're going to have health issues. There's going to be problems with these roads. You can see it from the photo. We've got to fix the roads.
Yep.
They seem to do all right, 80 miles an hour.
So we have a motion and a second?
Yeah,
You
we
wanna
have a
call
motion and a
question?
second.
Commissioner Oakley, you want to
Any
call a
other
question?
discussion? Hearing none.
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Mr. Chairman, I would say that I had not known there was a speed table study that was being done, so after we get these roads done, we'll bring that back up.
Commissioner, let me find out what the analysis was first before you bring that back up. Let me go with traffic ops, find out what the analysis showed, because there's a process they have to go through for traffic calming. Let's find out what that showed and see why it
That
was
was the motion.
determined that it wasn't appropriate.
Again,
And 3 1/4.
I got that as a note. We're going to look into it.
Yeah. Okay, that concludes public hearing.
Finish everything on the morning?
No, we're done with regular.
Miscellaneous business.
So we go to old business. Commissioner Moore?
Thank you. I apologize, give me 1 second. I gotta pull something up. I don't have my computer here. It's not working, so I gotta use my phone. Give me 1 sec. I just gotta pull a item up. What you got there?
What's that there?
Branford, hang in there.
Okay, you ready?
Yep.
I don't have a lot today, so just one thing to invite anybody to that wants to come. We're going to have the 2018 Economic Development Summit, very similar to what we had last year. It's going to be on Friday, November 2nd at Pasco Hernando State College, at the Porter campus in Wesley Chapel. One of our big focuses is also going to be on tourism in Pasco County. Myself, Dan Biles will be in the afternoon. A number of other people in the morning. I'm trying to figure, Adam Thomas will be there, Gordy Zimmerman, Richard Blaylock from Rad Sports, got CCO from Saddlebrook, and we'll have somebody there from the Tampa Bay Sports Commission. So it'll be a great, last time it was packed, it was full, I think they were sold out. So we're looking forward to another great event. Again, that is going to be Friday the 2nd. It starts at 11 a.m. and it ends at 2 p.m.
Are we getting notices emailed to us?
I'm not in charge of that notice. I'm just a panelist. So you can talk to the North Tampa Chamber of Commerce if you like.
Oh, yeah, I get it.
So, but you're all invited. I don't know what it costs though, so you'll have to talk to them about it. I think that's all I have. Thank you. We'll see you in our next meeting in November.
Commissioner Starkey?
Hey, so I'm passing out to you, so tonight there was a BPAC meeting and they're talking about pedestrian crashes, and I'm passing out to you the crash heat map on US 19. And if you see where the arrow is, that is actually, it's just a little north of Marine, on mine, it's just a little north of Marine Parkway. You can see where Gulf Harbor sticks out. That is where Marine Parkway is, just a little north of that. So I would say to you, if we're building a pedestrian overpass to reduce pedestrian crashes, we should put it where the red spots are and not where the green spots are. So I did speak to Mario over in Newport Richey, and I asked him to email me their trails map, and actually they did email me a map, and they do have a plan, so that was good to see. And they are looking at building a trail that will one day connect to Marine Parkway. So, and that overpass will be part of that trail network, which eventually is going to be a very good thing. I just think we're shooting ourselves in the foot to ask for a bridge before we have a trail. It's not done in the state. Normally you have a trail and you have users and you connect the two. So again, I would say we're putting a cart in front of the horse to ask for that funding. We didn't get anything funded last year. And so I would, from our priorities, except for transportation.
Well, we got $15 million for overpass.
Except for transportation. Did we get any of our other projects funded?
Yes.
Reword that, just in case we don't get anything.
Okay. We did very well last year in transportation. We did. We hit it out of the park in transportation.
We did.
So,
And the beautification along US 19, there has been funding for
yeah,
that.
the DOT stuff.
The
DOT stuff came through. So I just, it's so important that we fix 19, and I think the beautification project and the project at Port Richey that will enhance that bayou, to me, are really, really important projects that we should really, really focus on. So I just throw that out to you, that we can't stand behind this being for pedestrians, and it's a trail, it's a bridge that doesn't connect anything. So moving on, I've passed out to you pictures I took driving down the street last week in Holiday that are showing you residents who are just throwing their garbage outside their house. And it's going to take me a second, but I'm going to show you what I received. So many of these over the weekend, so many emails from my residents out there. I'm going to try and, I just have to remember their names, but one is Paula. I'm going to read to you. See if I can find it. Well, it's going to take me a second. Let me give you over to Commissioner Mariano, and I'll pull up those emails. But I do have, and then come back to me, okay? I don't want to keep you waiting while I look for them.
Mariano.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And for, as I told you, I was going to reach out to Newport Richey and Port Richey about the Marine Parkway and the underpass as well. It is a top priority project for Newport Richey. They're putting in $600,000 towards the project, so they're going to go fight for it. It is important to them. As far as the underpass goes, I did talk to the mayor of Port Richey, and they've never gone to Tallahassee to lobby, but they've never made a list up of what their priorities are. But they will make a list up for us that we can go bring up there to show them that it's important to them too. So it's a good thing. Couple of
Hire Ralph and pay for part of his salary.
Yeah, we can subcontract out, Ralph.
So we can subcontract Ralph.
There you go.
All right.
Already got him hired out.
Having said that, I want to say Branford, Dan Biles, Mike Carella did a phenomenal job in getting a project done on Quist Drive, which is on Old Post Road in Port Richey, where there's a big lake that comes across from Ridge Road, or below Ridge Road, into the city. It leads into a canal. There was silt on both things when the storm was coming in. We reached out and we got approval from DEP within like an hour or two to go dig it out and get the water flowing. They did a partial clearing out of it, and I want to commend Dan for stepping up and making sure it got done. But there's going to be more to be done. In the effects of trying to get a permit for the storm that was coming in, they also gave us another permit for a maintenance dredge on it as well. So we can actually clear that out. And I think at the next meeting, hopefully we'll have some information together. We can talk about it. and find out what the cost would be and try to work maybe a partnership with the city to share in the cost to get that cleaned out now, because I think in the coming years, having that cleared out will definitely affect not only water quality, but the stormwater situation that goes on. In Leisure Lane, Mr. Biles has been great working with me, working with code enforcement, trying to go clear out that area. I do want to see us go out there. We've got a couple of issues. They just went out and they took 4 truckloads of trash away. What's happening is people are hanging out in the back canal, which has been grown in, et cetera, which needs to be cleaned out. And there's a lot of Brazilian peppers and vegetation that's there that they hang on under. I think we need to go in there, make the effort, go clean the whole thing out, and give that place a chance. I will tell you, there's other groups with affordable housing looking to try to come in and work with Habitat to take over those properties or work with them in building up those properties in a fast pace. I think the cleaner the property looks, the more advantageous it'll be for us to make that all happen rather than taking a longer time to get it done. So if Mr. Bowles can maybe put a plan together to do all that and bring before the board, I think it'd be good, if the board thinks it's worthwhile. Okay.
I'll bring my clippers.
All right. And as we talk about events coming up at SunWest Park, oh, by the way, I'll give you a little sneak preview, which I was shown earlier today. They're getting ready for a parking pass at SunWest for our annual fest. So I know we got to work on annual parking pass.
Oh.
We're talking about having one for like $30 or $50, whatever it may be. Probably lower for Pasco residents, but they're going to hopefully bring that forward, but they're getting close now. There are a couple events coming up which may be good. Classical Academy is running one. The first week it's a 5K run. They're going to actually closing down Arapica Road at one point. They're going through all the permitting for that. And then CARES is running the beach charity event the weekend right after that.
That's the one where they paint the chairs?
That's where they paint the chairs, yeah. So, did you
Sponsorship,
think?
$250.
Yes, you did. Thank you very much.
When is that? What's the date on that one?
I think it's the 7th and 8th, or it's the second week in
I don't
December.
have that in front of me.
December.
December, though.
December, yeah.
First week
That's right.
of December, I think it was.
Second weekend in December. But both of those should be good, and I guess the beach stand is going to be open before that time, so hopefully we'll get in time as well, so everything should look good. So that's all I have. Thank you.
All right. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay. We'll go
So
back.
I'm going to leave off some names and addresses in here, but I just want you guys to get a little feel for the challenges that we have in part of my district, because I don't have this over towards Wesley Chapel, but I definitely have this in the 19 area. Dear Ms. Starkey, we are very discouraged here. Myself and 2 other residents that are next to this property are truly at wit's end. I asked for help 2 weeks ago, and you did send code enforcement out. I even got cited. That is fine. Now I know more of the law now and did what I needed to do. But this certain place in Holiday is still out of control. Please, we called code again. The household garbage is overflowing out of the house. I have pictures but cannot upload them on my computer. They have a child with MS who is total care and 2 other children. Mr. Knight has trapped several rats, and the other neighbor has found one on his lawn dead. We will be overrun by the time they go to court in December. Can the health department do something? I contacted Children's Services, hoping a visit from them would give them a push, but the people that live there do not let anyone into the house. You can see this from the road. The smell is awful. The bus picks up the disabled child at 6:30 a.m., and then they leave with the other 2 by 8 a.m. They come back at 3:30 to get him off the bus, and then they leave and return after dark. We believe they are avoiding not only code, but the landlord, who is a slumlord. We believe this place should be condemned. Code has been here several times. This landlord is only looking for bucks, not good tenants. We pay taxes. This just is not fair fair to us who comply with the rules. We would also like to address that it seems squatters have more rights than we do, and we pay taxes. Mrs. So-and-so died last February, and the person living in there with no water or electric has all kinds of junk in front of her trailer. This was called in also. It seems his mother is waiting for the place to go up for taxes. And now the neighborhood has to look, well, I'm not sure what she was writing here, like something until then. Please help us. I've got like 3 of these. And I can share with you a whole Facebook post of people in that area who are having a really, really hard time dealing with the way their conditions are in that area. I went to the Wawa on 19 because I read that they had taken out all their tables outside of the Wawa because the vagrants were staying there all the time. And I drove around looking at the area, in the immediate area, before I turned into the Wawa, and I noticed that a lot of the vagrants, I don't know what you want to call them, were in the gas station north of the Wawa, and they were sitting on the curbs underneath the shade on both sides of the door. And I can tell you, I drove around and spent 20 minutes or so in that area. Not one car pulled into that gas station, because who's going to pull into a gas station that has that to greet you when you open your door to pump your car? I have constituents who are getting accosted walking out of Aldi, walking into Walgreens. It is out of control. It's as bad as I've ever seen it on 19 and Holiday. That gas station is now up for auction, a quick sale. I'm sure he hasn't sold gas in a long time, and I just say that the rental registry will really help us hold slumlord landlords accountable, require garbage pickup. It's one little piece of a tool that we need in that area. I'm working with the sheriff on more ideas. I've talked to him about giving him that mile stretch empty fire station for a substation, but he said it's too expensive. But really, your constituents in the Holiday area are pleading for more help, So, and I want to remind you about the lectures on the lawn, November 2nd. And on October 30th, we'll have the ribbon cutting for the Starkey Gap Trail. So I hope you all could be there.
Miles?
Yes, sir. I'd like to ask for your consideration a walk-on item. It's it's a assignment of a lease that we have on Clinton Avenue to the state of Florida Department of Transportation.
Second.
All right, got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Back in 2014, the board approved a lease with a property owner there. And what we're doing now is assigning that to the state so that they can start the Clinton Avenue extension work on this property.
Mr. Chairman, given that this is an emergency walk-on and it is a proposition, you need to ask for public comment, though I don't see that they're.
Okay. Is anyone here to speak to this item?
Well, I didn't get to hear exactly what it was.
Okay.
I'm going to vote yes, but
What
what is it?
You can describe better than me, Tim. Thank you.
No, it's buried in the red folder.
It's in the red folder, under all those resolutions.
Good afternoon, Tim Bowers, Real Property and Planning Facilities Management Department. This is an assignment of a lease to the Florida Department of Transportation. This assignment will allow them all of our rights and interest in the property, and it'll allow them to do a demolition of a dwelling that is on the premises in the existing right-of-way, and it'll save the county the cost of demo and removal.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Thanks. I saw that, but I didn't know what it was. You've been sitting here a long time,
All right.
too.
I've got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes.
So we do it, they're just
That's all
double
I have.
taxed. you know.
Anything
Thank
else?
you. That's all I have. Thank you.
That's it?
Taxes for FDOT too, if we do it, they're.
Mr. Steiner?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I need to ask for your indulgence to do a litigation assessment meeting in Diane Kobernick et al. Versus Pasco County, case number 51-2016-3484, to discuss settlement strategies or litigation expenditures. I would propose your next board meeting of 11/27, and the time is at your discretion.
That's in Dade City?
That's in Dade City, yes.
Yep.
How much time do you need?
30 minutes probably.
I think we can get done in 3.
Okay?
Can we do it lunch? Yeah.
I'm fine with doing it at your lunch, at your noon break.
Need a motion for that?
No.
Okay,
Uh,
lunchtime.
No, we'll formally announce it at the 11:27 meeting, and we'll arrange for a court reporter to be there at noon.
Okay, all right.
That's all I've got. Thank you.
I have three items. Actually, they're all happy items, too. Last Friday was the 6th Annual Veterans Stand Down, and we had Veterans Court. 37 veterans were presented their outstanding cases. 157 cases were heard, and over $82,000 in fees were waived. 21 veterans were able to get their valid licenses that day, and over $2,000 was provided by sponsors to help them with reinstatement. So we're really excited about that. That's the 6th Annual Veteran Stand Down. We do it once a year, and it was very well attended. A lot of agencies participated, and we're really excited that those veterans can get back on the road.
Good.
Yeah, thanks. The second one is the Clerks for a Cure car show was this past Saturday, and I really have to commend Revis Johns. He's a maintenance technician 3 in facilities, and Eric, he did a great job. It was his idea to have a car show. We had 67 cars. We had Marvelous Marvin with Hits 106 out there all day, emceeing and live on the radio. I just want to tell you the Best in Show award was given to Doc Holliday's car. It was the first time that it was out of the garage since his death in last November. It's a 1932 Ford convertible coupe driven by Captain Davis of the Sheriff's Office. So it was really a very meaningful event, and we hope that you will indulge us to continue that tradition. Napa wants to continue in the future. It was really a great event. Thank you. And then the third one, for many years, the clerk's office hasn't been able to return money to you. We do have money to give back to you this year, just like Senator Fasano, but not quite as much as our tax collector gave us. We have $465,381.24 that we will get to you prior to October 30th. But I am requesting that you spend $25,000 or that you give $25,000 to each domestic violence center here in Pasco. They work so hard. And I'm asking if you could give $25,000 to PACE and to the Volunteer Way. It's only $100,000 of the $465,000, and when you look at it, you still get $365,000 and $381.24 to spend however you want legally. And then you get to help 4 agencies in our county. So that's my request. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. You've
I
already
know,
gone
I'm
twice.
sorry, I forgot something
You've
very
already had
important.
2 times.
I know, third is the charm.
All right, one more.
But Paula reminded me of something. So,
But do we need a motion on that request, or?
We just have to discuss.
We'd have to, I mean, once we receive the funds, we'd have to bring the budget amendment to the board anyway.
Okay.
To do that, and so that would be done at that time.
Okay, thank you.
and so I have another budget amendment request.
What?
And you heard the library folks speak today, how they went with the school district to look at a facility in Hillsborough County, the Carrollwood Cultural Center, and you know that that there is a library that is being built that is the first one of its kind, a co-located library with the school district and the county. And I have been working with our staff and the school board staff as we go through iterations of the project. And I will tell you first, the school district has been fantastic, fantastic to work with, and they have found a way to add more amenities to the project. They have pulled the library a little closer to the school, and they are putting some of their square footage back into the library and their funds over and above the $12 million that we have allotted for it, and it'll help us to get an outdoor area that the community can use for outdoor events, which would allow alcohol too, if we wanted it to, and near the theater. But where we are short is on the maker spaces. And their plan right now is to maybe have a maker space that you roll the equipment in, and then you got to take all the equipment out and bring in all your other equipment, and that is just not practical. So, in talking with the school district who's in charge of building it and getting the architect, they said, Ray Gadd thought we needed $1 more million to be able to build 3 maker spaces at what will be the cultural center and what I think will be the new model for these kind of buildings in the county. I hope we get one over on the east side. And Ray's already looking at sites where the county and the school district can share again. So today we got a little surprise from Mike Fasano, because I had a plan to go ask for money from him in a different way. So we got an extra $1 million today, and that fits what the school district said we need to get the maker spaces in the building. So I would love to see you approve that to go help make this the building, a premier building and the beginning of a model that we should replicate throughout the county, because maker spaces make the place. They really do.
Is that it?
Cost
Yeah.
and all that.
Well, that's what I thought we needed
Well, we have
two,
to
but
rate-
Ray Gadd said he thought the architect could build those 3 spaces with 1. And if we need more, I have an idea, but right now I'm just asking for 1. And we got an extra 1 this morning, above and beyond.
Like we do other requests, we'll put it under consideration.
They need to know pretty quick because the architect is going to be designing it, so. You want maker spaces in your centers.
That'd be something that Mr. Biles might have to bring back to us.
Well, I mean, right now, the funds that the tax collector returns and other constitutional returns rolls to the bottom line and goes into fund balance, into our reserves. You've already committed some of that money to other things this year, based on his original estimates. My only concern with this, we don't know what's going to happen on November 6th with respect to Homestead and some other stuff. And so that is my only hesitation, is that right now that additional money that both he's returned and Paula's returned and we may get from the other constitutionals would roll into fund balance to be our reserve account, if you will. And we are still pretty short on general fund reserves right now. So, that's my only concern. I would say, let's see what happens on November 6th.
Let's work through that.
And then maybe after November 6th, we could adjust some things.
And I had asked you to get me a number, and I don't think I saw it. But every year, at the end of the year, they sweep funds from all the different accounts, and they go into different fund balances. And I know you said there's only certain accounts that go into the general fund balance. But I'm just looking, this is our opportunity, and we won't be able to add it once we're done. And this is the opportunity, so.
But I agree, we have to look at it once it goes through. We have this voting in and see what it is.
And the reason I haven't answered you on your request is we still have pending invoices that are out there that we've not finished closing out the end of the year. So we actually don't know that number yet because of the pending invoices and payments that still need to be made for goods and services that were delivered before the 1st of October. So that usually takes us through the end of November-ish to get that number. So, and that we make an assumption of what that number is, and that's what you set your fund balance at in that reserves that we hold in the budget. So, I mean, there's already an assumption built into the budget for that.
All right, I'm just letting you know we have this issue, and I think we found a way this morning that we might be able to fix it.
Chair recognizes Kathy Pearson.
Thank you. Kathy Pearson, Assistant County Administrator for Public Services. I just want to add, Commissioner Starkey, I had the privilege of going to Tampa last week, and we learned a lot about the theater. And right now in our plans, we have about a 203 seating capacity. They, down in Tampa, urged us, you really need 250. That's what's going to bring the revenue in, so there's a potential of more revenue coming in if we build it larger. And that's why we're looking at 250 seats. That's what attracts most of the bands and things, or community theater that would want to come to our community. So with that, it is leaving less space for our makerspace. So that is why one of the big things that we were looking at is possibly expanding the 250 seating, and that will bring some additional revenue in the future.
And remember, once we have a plan, we can take that plan, save all that money in architecture costs, and put it somewhere else on the east side of the county one day.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah, because I think you should have these cultural centers too.
Okay?
Mr. Chairman? Could I just bring up one item? I think I brought it up before, but with this parking pass.
One item.
SunWest was going to be called SunWest Beach. When the park was opened up, they couldn't get the domain name to be called SunWest Beach. They want to call it SunWest Park. I think we need to go to the name. If I need to make a motion to start calling it SunWest Beach, I think it'll be much better for our marketing down the road.
Can it be something we think about and you bring it back to us? and maybe
Let's bring it back. That's fine.
Is that okay?
But again,
Maybe get with staff and tourism and stuff and see how you guys can
They
market
can
it
go check
together.
it out.
Yeah,
make
let
sure it's
Adam
good.
work with you on it.
Because you got some signage and stuff to change.
I think that'd be good if you.
There's only one? I don't know. Don't you have some other marketing material?
All right, I know, I have one item. The fact that in San Antonio and St. Joe Road area, St. Joe area in East Pasco County, we are constantly having bicyclists come in that area and ride on the shoulder of roads that do not have paths for bicycles. And I'm constantly getting calls into my office about how unsafe it is. And just over the weekend, they had an event, there was 40 or 50 bikes I drove up on. I mean, I met them. And they're not in a single line on the edge of a road, and the road's not marked. They're 3 across and take up the road. I mean, and then they're the first ones that complain if somebody gets hit by a car.
They can't go on the edge because the edge is all messed up.
Well, I know, and it's got potholes on the edge of some of these roads in the countryside, in the rural area. We're not gonna fix those roads for a while, but somehow we need to be addressing if they should not be allowed on those roads. And let's put them over on all these trails that we've spent all the money on that are safe, and force them to ride where they're safe. Instead of here all the time, well, it's county commissioner's fault, or if it's some government entity, city or whatever, because they allowed this to happen, they got hit by a car.
I don't think you can legally keep them off the
No,
road.
you can't, and there has been some work done out there before you were commissioner, and you should get with
Work to do
Camille.
what?
They've identified the routes, the biking community, cycling community who comes from all over the state.
Well,
to
this is
cycle
not
there.
in the city, this is happening in
Right.
St. Anne.
So we have cycling routes, and we hired an engineering company to go out there and do route safety studies. We've had so many bike ped people since that study was done. Probably the guy that's here now doesn't even know we did that. But they identified low-hanging fruit that would be inexpensive for them to go out and make it a little safer for everybody. And when Hernando County got DOT safety money to widen, I think it's Spring Lake Road, to put shoulders on there, and it stops at the county line.
Right.
Someone needs
Where I
to
met
be
'em
the
the other day.
advocate out in those hills to actually go and get, there's federal money, there's DOT money that will bring in money to build shoulders on those roads, on those routes that were identified, and make it safe for two-way traffic and the cyclists. So there's been a lot of work done, but I gave it a big push, and I can have the bike. You should come talk to the bike ped committee sometime, because they have all been involved in that. But you can't
Who in the
keep.
county has those routes?
The bottom line,
Anybody?
you can't legally keep them off the road.
No,
I think
you can't.
everybody would've- yeah,
No.
you can't.
However, they're supposed to ride 2 abreast, not 3.
No, not 2.
No,
It should
2
be
is the
single
law.
file.
Only,
I think, no, it's 2.
Interstate.
You can't get 2 on that strip of land they've got on the road.
But there is money available, and while we have Mr. Simpson, we should try and get some money up there to widen those shoulders.
Mr.
Put
Chairman?
that on the list for next year, huh?
Are you aware of that study? The engineering study?
You're gonna kill
I
Ralph
haven't
over
seen
here.
it.
He's like, no more.
AECom, I believe AECom did.
Gotta widen his
We'll dig
paper
into
or
it.
something.
Can you share that with Mr. Oak? They'll share that study with you, Ronnie.
Okay, that'd be fine if I can get that. I know how to address some of that, so it's really an issue out there.
There's been.
Commissioner Mariano?
Would it help, if, like you just mentioned, marking the road, would it help marking the road, at least they're going to stay on one side of the road instead of on both sides of the road?
No.
No? Okay.
You got traffic on both sides, so I mean, it's-
Bikes are supposed to ride with traffic when they're on the road.
yeah.
Frankly, some of those roads, you can't even fit two trucks going side by side. Never mind a tractor and a truck.
Talking about my rural road.
I am talking about your rural roads.
Okay. All right, that's all I have. Anybody got anything else? Adjourn.